the Monster Mile in Dover, Delaware. It's called the Monster because it eats dreams. Those that attempt to ride its spine do so at their own peril. The turns are like canyon walls. The straights bank steeper than many tracks turn. Concentrate everywhere. Rest nowhere. Few leave here unscathed in equipment or spirit. 500 miles anywhere else is a Sunday school picnic compared to 500 on the Monster. It's a rush like no other to bring the Monster down, but exhausting to fight it and lose. From the toughest track on this circuit, TNN Motorsports proudly presents live coverage of the Budweiser 500. At long last, maybe we have some good news from Dover, Downpour, Delaware. Hello, everyone. I'm Steve Evans. If I look like a drowned rat, well, I am. Weather has been the big story. Yesterday, we lost our live coverage of the Busch Grand National race to the weather. You'll see that tomorrow, weather permitting, at 10 a.m. Eastern Time live here on TNN. This morning, a downpour. Then it stopped. NASCAR dried the track. Now it's blinking again, but they're still saying they will have the Budweiser 500 as close to on schedule as possible and meet the pole sitter in his Ford, Brett Bodine. Friday afternoon, you grabbed the old Monster by the tail and shook it.
Well, I'll tell you, we got very fortunate. You know, we got very little practice time. We had a little problem in practice, and we just went ahead and got a good lap in. Look at this guy here.
Brother Jeff.
Didn't I teach you anything? It's raining. Come on out of the rain. Get inside here. Come on.
We might all do that in a minute. It is a tough racetrack, that's for sure.
It really is, you know, and, you know, with the addition of the new sealer, Goodyear bringing out a new tire, some of the old record books kind of had to go by the wayside, and you had to kind of come up with a new combination. I think that's why it played into our hand. We've never brought the Ford Thunderbird here to Dover before. We kind of came here with an open mind. I think it really worked for us in qualifying.
You've become a real Ford lover from the sound of it.
I really have. You know, ever since Kenny Bernstein switched the Quaker State team over to Fords, we've had nothing but great things happen to us. Our qualifying has been outstanding. You know, the only team to qualify in the top 10 at every single race this year. Finally got our first pole here at Dover. Now we got to start working on that race setup. I believe the second half of the season is when you're going to really see this team get the race setup down pat, the second trip to all these tracks.
Okay, let's hope the cover comes off this car in just a few seconds. Right now, let's go upstairs to our racecaster, Michael Joy.
Thank you, Steve, and hello, everyone. Well, 30 minutes ago, the track was dry. Pit road was only damp, and we were set to go racing. Yesterday, we had rain coming straight at us from the east, from the ocean. Now there's a storm system coming at us from the west, but there are breaks in the clouds, and everyone is confident of being able to get this race in today. You see the humidity, it's right up near 100%. You can just about cut the water in the air with a knife, even when the rain is not falling. But that's not been the big story this week. They have a new sealer on this surface, and it is fairly slick. Also, Goodyear's chosen this race to introduce the radial tire to Dover. And we've had some cars find their way into the wall with regularity, both in the Winston Cup and Busch Grand National divisions. For more on this story, go to my broadcast colleagues, Neil Bonnet and Buddy Baker. Neil?
Thank you, Mike. You know, before they ever sealed this racetrack, this thing was always one of the toughest on equipment and the drivers, more so on equipment than anything. But since they put the sealer down and brought these radials, we have had nothing but cars bouncing off these walls in this very limited amount of practice that we had. We've had some of the best race car drivers in the world tearing their cars up in just practice sessions. Alan Kwiecki, earlier in the week, lost 2 race cars. He spun the car off coming off turn 4 one time, slid all the way down the front straightaway just like he was on ice. You couldn't even tell the car was trying to slow down. He lost 1 off turn 2. The problem they've got is with this new sealer right here. You can see how slick it is, not the dampness, but the slickness of the track itself. There's a bottom groove that the drivers like to run in. It's almost raceable, but up above there, nobody's been brave enough or crazy enough to try to run on that part of the track. Somebody's going to have to move up there and see if they can run on that top. Let's go down to Buddy Baker for more on this story.
Thanks, Neil. In the background here, you see one of the cars that Alan Kwiecki destroyed on Friday. He got 2 of them. I'm with Paul Andrews, crew chief. What in the world happened, Paul?
Wasn't a good day for us, buddy. You know, the first car bottomed out in the corner. He spun and lost it. Second car, he's coming out of turn 4. The whole tires broke loose and spun and lost that one. Just not a good day.
Big question. How is the third car?
Third car's real good. It's our car we raced at Atlanta. We tested with it at Charlotte. We're real confident about it. It's, you know, we had to do a few things, little driver comfort things, and put some brake ducts on it. But other than that, you know, the car is a real good car.
All right, thank you. And now back to Glenn.
Well, thank you, buddy. I was standing by at Alan Kulwicki's third race car of the week here. This is the car that they run at Atlanta. Alan's not here right now like anybody else with any sense. He's out of this weather. I'm standing out here in the middle of it, so that tells you about my mentality. Alan told me earlier today that the biggest concern that they have right now is that they only got about 4 or 5 laps practice with this car yesterday morning before the rain began. That gives him only a total of about 11 laps this week. He still hasn't gotten a feel for the race car. He still doesn't know what this car is going to do, and he's a little bit worried about that. You can understand that. So quick as Alan comes along, we'll try to get back and get a word with him. Mike Joy?
Thank you, Glenn. You see he's lined up in 37th position. He's got a long way to go to get to the front. But then again, he's going to have all afternoon to get there. 500 miles of racing here at Dover coming right up. TNN Motorsports exclusive live coverage of the Budweiser 500 from Dover, Delaware is brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers. With that clean, crisp, cold taste, nothing beats a Bud. By Haviland Formula 3 Motor Oil. Add more life to your car. By Goodyear, the unanimous choice of every NASCAR Winston Cup team. And by Autolite Spark Plugs, guaranteed for 2 years no matter how far you go. They're getting set to put drivers in these cars, fire them off, and get them around the track to get some heat into the surface. So we'll be right back to Dover Downs.
Welcome back to Dover, Delaware, and our live coverage of the Budweiser 500. You're looking at the car on the inside of the second row, the car under that cover anyway, the bright yellow number 30 Pennzoil Pontiac of Michael Waltrip. Now, Michael qualified on the pole last year, came up just a little bit short this time. Now, it's an all Waltrip affair in this second row. Starting outside the second row is Darrell Waltrip, the number 17 Chevrolet. They are both having, well, not the best of seasons and hope for a turnaround here. Right now, news with Mike Joey. He has this week's Haviland update.
400 laps, 600 miles. The Coke 600 at Charlotte. Lap 131. Up into the wall goes Gary Ballou off Greg Sack's car, and everybody else runs for cover. Or in this case, the infield grass. Some made it through, some didn't. Was that kind of racing all day as 3 top GM cars tried to put an end to Ford's winning streak. Kyle Petty's Pontiac, Ernie Irvin's Chevrolet, and the Chevy of Dale Earnhardt. 50 laps to go, and the lead cars come in for tires. Here's Irvin running in second place, and Kyle Petty leading. But the fastest crew on this day on pit lane would be Kirk Shelmerdine's Flying Aces for Dale Earnhardt. They put Earnhardt out into the lead and in position to hold off Ernie Irvin for General Motors' first victory of the season, snapping Ford's 13-race winning streak. Davey Allison still has a commanding point lead, but look at Elliott, Gant, Kulwicki, and Earnhardt all within 33 points behind him. 6 through 10, it's Labonte, Shepard, Jeff Bodine, Trickle, and Martin.
Well, after Earnhardt's great performance at Charlotte, everyone here is wondering, can he again flog the Fords? Didn't qualify all that well. Here you see his car on the grid in the 24th spot. But he put together 2 qualifying laps identical to the thousandths of a second, so he has tremendous consistency and I think a real good shot. Right now, let's go to not Willard, but Glenn, the weatherman.
Well, thanks, Steve. This is something I've always wanted to do. The normal weatherman has left right now. He's gone to put on his Bermuda shorts and sunshades. If you look right here, there's a little arrow. It's a little hard for you to see it, but right there is where we are. All the rain is east of us right now. There's just a little patch right here. That's all that's over the racetrack. You can see in behind here, it's all clear. Once this little patch right here gets above us, we're in good shape. So they're still holding out there. We're going to get this thing started within the next 30 minutes or so.
And the Optimist Club meeting will happen here directly. Thanks, Glenn. We'll put you in for Mark McEwen's job. Well, it is a little damp here at Dover Downs, but that has not dampened the enthusiasm of these fans. So many of them are out in their motorhomes and cars, awaiting word or awaiting the sound of engines being fired. Look, there's a packed crowd here in this grandstand as what is long been the largest sporting event in the state of Delaware. They just keep adding seats to this place as you have a look down the front straightaway at turn number 4 and up here as well. Turn number 2, new grandstands coming off turn 2 in the back straightaway. Those are filled up, and the enclosed grandstand on the backstretch they use for the horse races inside this oval, and also for the stock cars as well. It's going to be a packed crowd in here just as soon as they get the command to fire engines. Steve?
Well, thank you, Mike Joy. This is Michael Waltrip starting inside the second row. It's kind of an emotional roller coaster for all of us. We're ready to broadcast. You're ready to race. The track was dry. Now they've quit drying it. It's tough.
Well, I know it's definitely unpredictable, and it is tough for the drivers and the crews alike. You want to get going. You know, if I could just run one lap, you know, just get started, then whatever happened would happen. You'd be all right. But I want to get in my car and go. You know, the Pennzoil Pontiac has ran super this weekend. Looking forward to racing, and here I sit watching it rain. So.
What do you think? You're looking at this guy's eye, and it's stopped right now. We're going to do this thing?
I think so. The way Dick Beatty and the NASCAR officials talked, there was a window in the rainfall. They thought we'd have 3 or 4 hours to run this race, and the trucks have started drying the track again. I'm optimistic that we'll at least get to start and get going and kind of see how we're all running, and then if you're not running good, you go home and spend the night and worry about coming back tomorrow and making it better maybe. But you know, I think we'll get this thing started. I'm looking forward to racing. We've had some rough races so far this year, but this thing this weekend is right, and we're ready to race.
I hope you're right. Mike?
Well, he's done well here, Steve. He's a former pole sitter here, and like everybody, the anticipation of getting ready to run. What's it like, buddy, when you get, you know, I mean, everybody wants to run. Let's get this race going. But for a driver especially, you build up all your hopes and your thoughts and your adrenaline, and then you sit there?
Well, it's like Michael said. He just wants to start. He don't care how long it goes. He's ready to go. You kind of get yourself all built up, and the most important thing is to get started today. They'll get her done.
So we'll stand by here at Dover. Track drying efforts continue, and you saw the weather on the radar, and if you believe in magic, as we do, we're going to go racing here at Delaware today. We'll be right back. We're back live at Dover Down, Delaware, and we've got a little time here while they finish drying the track and we get ready to go racing. The fans are ready, the drivers are ready, and if you're ready, dial in, and we'll deal with some of your questions about Winston Cup racing and be able to ask some to the drivers as they wait for the start of this event. Our 800 number, it is toll-free for questions about this event. 800-451-7331. This is a free call. Operators are standing by, and we'll answer some of your questions about the sport and about this race. That number will be in operation throughout the day. So give us a call, and the phone will be answered in Nashville. They'll fax those questions to us, and we'll find out what's on your mind about Winston Cup racing, and maybe find out from, say, Ernie Irvan about his great run at Charlotte last week. Let's do that right now. Steve Evans?
Yeah, starting inside that fifth row is Ernie Irvan. Down here with Sterling Mullen and Tony Glover. You guys are sure laughing a lot. You having that much fun?
Yeah, we're just telling old war stories, you know, about racing, and different things happen going to the races and stuff like that. But not much else to do here.
No, there's not. Even though you came up a car length or so short at Charlotte last weekend, you had to feel good about the General Motors product.
I really do. You know, our car's been running awful good a lot of places, and you know, we got the pole at Talladega, run 5th in the race, and car's been performing well. We just had some bad luck. So we think that all the General Motors team have made a lot of headway with the heads and things like that, and our car's running well, and I'm really looking forward to this race going.
Well, the best thing I see right now is NASCAR is again drying the track off.
Yeah, you know, it hadn't been raining here for like the last 20 minutes, so it's going to take them an hour or so to dry the track. Maybe we'll go without a shower and get some racing in.
Let's talk to Sterling Martin if we can. Sterling, hanging out with these General Motors guys, you could get in trouble for this.
Well, we hope not. We're surrounded by Fords anyways. Hopefully we'll get the race in, maybe the break and we'll get it in.
What are the Ford racers, engineers, and people saying about the Chevrolet performance at Charlotte?
Well, there really hadn't been much talk about it. You know, the Fords run good all year, and I think just, you know, a bunch of Fords got put out and had trouble. So they did run good in Winston and the 600. So, you know, maybe we'll get back on the Ford streak here.
Okay, best of luck to you today. All right, Glenn Jarrett, what do you got?
Well, I'm standing by with the guy that won this race 1 year ago today, and unfortunately for him, he hasn't had another victory in Winston Cup since then. Ken Schrader probably glad to get back to Dover.
I really enjoyed Dover. We've run first, second, and third the last 3 years in this race, so I like this place, and I'm getting ready to go out there and race. I'm ready.
Well, we all have heard about the problems that you're having with your neck. You have a herniated disc, I believe. A place like Dover, where it's extremely physically wearing on the driver, is this a tougher place for you to contend with?
I don't think so. I won't really notice it today, or I haven't been noticing the race car. I can probably tell you tomorrow if it was a little rougher racetrack or not, but it wears on you the next day, but it isn't too bad inside the car.
Well, we understand that since the problem has worsened, you have kind of scheduled the next several Tuesdays for operations if necessary.
Well, it's I'm just real fortunate with Rick Hendrick and Kodiak. They haven't put pressure on us just to keep in the car, and if it gets real bad, we're just going to get a cut on because I'm going to drive that 25 car for a number more years, and I want to be right when I'm driving it, so I don't want to take any chances with this thing.
Well, best of luck to you today. Steve Evans?
Well, Glenn, when you say Ford Racing, you have to say Jack Roush in the same sentence. The win streak finally came to an end in Winston Cup at Charlotte, but you don't look very discouraged about that.
I didn't hear what you said. I'm sorry.
I said the Ford win streak finally came to an end at Charlotte last weekend.
The Ford win streak came to an end, but we've had quite a long run. There's an awful lot of depth with the Fords. You've got so many teams now that are running competitively, good car programs, good drivers, good on pit road, and good engines. I really credit SVO and Lee Morris and Michael Kranifus for the job they've done getting this hardware together. But we're going to win a bunch more races this year, the Fords are, and I think that the doldrums that we've been in for the last 5 or 6 years with Fords relative to GM things, we're not going back there for a while.
And you're in the front row opposite the pole sitter.
Yeah, this is really a crapshoot here. This Dover mile, 500 laps around here is probably too long. We tore up a bunch of cars on Friday qualifying. Mark lost his Busch car. And thought we had to measure the track. There's some sealer on it that's a concern, and we understood what to do with it. And boy, everything's in the air now.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Mike Joy?
Well, thank you, Steve. The rain that has fallen here yesterday and this morning has taken some of that rubber off the track, and there's Darrell Waltrip pondering it out. And we'll be back to Dover Downs with more coverage of the Budweiser 500 right after these messages. The Nashville Network's coverage of the Budweiser 500 is being brought to you by Napa, because there are no unimportant parts. Track drying efforts continue here. And you see the trucks dragging tires, getting some heat in the racetrack. Let's go right down trackside to Steve Evans.
Well, Mike, with the banking the way it is here on the Monster Mile, drainage is definitely not a problem. All the water runs right down the banking into this area between the inside wall and the racetrack. I pity the driver early on who maybe spins and comes down here because he's going to think he's on the mile of mud at the Swamp Buggy races down in Naples, Florida. We're already starting to see some dried patches on the racetrack. And as you said, dragging those tires, just old truck tires, tractor tires, they've been doing it the same way for a lot of years because nothing has been found to be any more effective. Mike?
Well, that answers Bill's question from New Mexico about dragging tires around the racetrack. Our 800 number in operation. Kyle and Ricky from Connecticut want to know how they score the Hard Charger Award. 5 points to the driver that leads each lap, 4 for the guy who's second, 3 for third, 2 for fourth, and 1 for fifth. Somebody's real busy with the computer all race long scoring that one, but that's how they do it. You know that there's our 800 number if you have questions about the sport or about this race. We'll have that number open all day long, and our pit reporters will be asking questions of some of the drivers that you call in. 800-451-7331. Operators are there to take your questions now. Let's go to Glenn Jarrett.
Okay, the mischievous little girl you're looking at now is the 4.5-year-old daughter of Darrell Waltrip. That's Jessica. Darrell, I've never seen a guy so uptight, tense, and nervous.
Oh, well, you know, it's the rain hadn't dampened our spirits all that much. Give me that hat, you little turkey. We're just having a little fun here with one of the members of the family. No, we're ready to go, and you know, the rain is it's discouraging. We work so hard and get everything ready to go, but I think we're gonna get this race in. I think it's gonna get a little late start here, but I believe we'll get it in.
Well, looking back on this year thus far, it's been a little bit disappointing for you.
Boy, it's been real disappointing. We've had a great car on a number of occasions, and the guys are doing a great job, but things just haven't worked out for us yet. We're in good shape today. We start fourth, and you know, this could be the day we turn it all around. We just need a little luck, something good to happen, and then then I think we'll be on our way.
Well, it's a good thing that you know the car owner pretty well, right?
It is, because if the owner and the driver didn't have the kind of relationship they had, the driver might be in trouble.
Well, if you don't know, Darrell Waltrip owns the car he drives. Steve Evans?
Dick Trickle is down here having fun with some of the fans. Show him Trickle's autograph. It's a real work of art on the back of the sweatshirt. It's hard to write on those things. I know. I've tried. But, you know, as the winningest short track driver in stock car history, this ain't all that bad a day for you. You've seen worse in Milwaukee and everywhere else.
Well, I had somebody ask me this morning, was going to quit raining or not, and I said it usually does.
Sometime or another. And I'll tell you, this track is drying pretty quick. You may have to get your helmet soon.
Yeah, I think there's a window. You know, Dick Beatty with NASCAR's, they use the radar, and they said there's a window coming up, and we should be able to get a couple 300 laps in here and hopefully get 500 for everybody. But the Snickers Ford was running great in practice yesterday morning, so I'm looking forward to it.
And you relax a little bit with the fans. That's nice.
Well, we just happened to see the Arctic Cat on their shirts, and of course that's Minnesota area, the Arctic Cat snowmobile. So sure enough, they're from Minnesota, and they know some friends of mine. I just started chatting, and as soon as you get idle like this, you know, you have a few fans come up, want a few autographs, and it's perfect timing because we're not in a rush.
And some people say race car drivers are becoming inaccessible. I don't think so. Guys?
Thanks, Steve. Dick Trickle, short track legend, making his mark in Winston Cup. And you see up over turn 3, that's to the southwest of the racetrack, and the sky is lightening out there just a bit. Not lightning as in thunder but it is getting a little lighter and a little bit clearer. So we're hopeful things will go along here. More viewer mail. Tommy, and I'm sorry I can't read where Tommy's from on this, on the fax the way it came through, but he asked about Dale Earnhardt. And last week at Charlotte, there was a question among some of the fans as to whether or not Dale was going too fast down pit road. You saw in the Haviland update that he beat everybody off pit road, and was he maybe exceeding the speed limit down it? Neil, you were there.
You know, NASCAR monitors pit road. That's always their call. You know, they caught people before, and then it's not a questionable call. I guess they say they have a radar gun. I've never seen it, but when they make that call, that's it, one way or the other.
We talked to the team about that, and they said no, Dale came right down pit road at the mandated speed and held that speed until he was just 1 or 2 pits away, and then locked the wheels up to stop the car instead of coming in gradually, and made up a bit of time that way. Nonetheless, he got the win at the Coke 600 and comes in here as the circuit's most recent winner. You see a lot of heat getting down to the track right now as those tires drag around the speedway, build a little heat into the asphalt. We'll be back to Dover Downs right after this word. Welcome back to Dover, Delaware. Getting a bit of heat in this racetrack, and the umbrellas are pretty well folded up now for at least the time being. So we'll check with NASCAR and see how far we are from getting this event underway. Let's go back down to pit road and Steve Evans.
Well, Mike, with virtually every car down here on pit road, you'll find a little generator like this one. And what they're trying to do, in that it's been quite a while since these engines were warmed up, they're trying to keep the oil in the crankcase, the oil throughout the automobile lubricants warm, so when they start it, there's not excess wear. They're already up to temperature. Now, something else you'll find at just about all of these cars is right here. And this is a portable little air tank, because tire pressures are constantly changing as these cars sit, possibly leaking a little bit through the valve stems. There's no heat to keep them back up to pressure. So you're going to find a lot of this equipment every time you have this kind of a situation. Glenn Jarrett?
Well, thanks, Steve. This place is overrun with celebrities down here, and I'm standing by with the most well-known football coach in America, Joe Gibbs, who is also the owner of the number 18 Interstate Battery Chevrolet that my brother Dale drives. Joe, your impressions of the NASCAR season thus far?
Well, we certainly, it's very hard to win. I found that out, and there's 32 losers normally every week. There's not a 50-50 chance here, but I've enjoyed it. We've had our moments too when we stay out of when we stay out of mechanical problems and out of wrecks. Dale's kept us up there in the top 10 most of the time. So I'm excited about the second half too, because we had all new cars, all the courses pretty much first go around for us. I think when we start hitting them the second time too, I think we're going to be ahead of the game.
Well, as successful as you've been in other endeavors, has this been more difficult than you actually thought it would be coming in?
It's a different role, the owner here. You know, my job is to pick the people. I picked Dale and Jimmy, and then Jimmy hired everybody else. And to kind of make sure that, our sponsorships, we get everything it takes to go fast. We got Interstate there, Shell, Food Line, and so we had I think a great group of guys. That was my job, to get all those guys put together and keep them happy. And I feel good about that. And I think we got good people, and I think you win with good people. And I think that's what will happen to us down the road here. It's going to be Dale and Jimmy getting the job done with the guys on the crew, and I think that's what will eventually make us a winner.
Well, thanks, Coach, and best of luck to you. I'm one guy that certainly hopes that things turn around for you. Steve Evans.
Well, thank you, Glenn. I'm in the Junior Johnson Budweiser Ford pit, the crew lounging around all anxious to get going. And here is the driver himself, Bill Elliott. And Bill, you were the last driver to win from the pole here at Dover. In fact, few have done that. You did it in the fall race in 1990.
Well, this racetrack's been good to me and it's been bad to me both. But I enjoy running here. It's one of the, I guess I'm some of the few people that like running this place. You know, the only bad thing about what's going on today is it just puts everybody behind and going to Sears Point. You know, regardless of what happens, I got to be here tomorrow to run the Busch race, so I'm going to be here regardless.
You know, years ago, we were the first people, TNN, to really start televising this race on an American Sports Cavalcade show. And I remember those days well. You and Ernie had a little old box truck, not much sponsorship, running pretty lean and mean. It kind of started here, your early success.
It really did. I ran here in the early days, and, you know, this racetrack changes a lot. You're coming here the first time. We've run the Goodyear radials here, and it takes a different setup. You know, with a limited amount of practice we've had, it's going to be a pretty tough race for some people. You know, and I think the track will change quite a bit during the day.
And it's going to take some driver discretion out there.
Well, it always does here, but probably more so now because you've got one groove worked in on the bottom from what we've run here practicing, but there's no real rubber in a second groove to run side by side. And you know, I'm starting on the outside, and for the rest of us starting on the outside, it's going to be a tough road for a little while.
Let's hope it's a safe one.
Thank you.
Mike?
That's Bill Elliott. Here's a little track drying innovation in Ted Musgrave's pit. They are using an air blower to dry out their pit space so that Musgrave can be as late as possible getting on the brakes. There's a blower in Davey Allison's pit as well, so they can get stopped and safely serviced. Looks like it was working.
Absolutely.
Earlier this weekend, the sealer that was put down on this racetrack presented its own difficulties for the drivers. And you see here, this is not traffic school with the cones. Explain what's going on here.
What's happening here is NASCAR found that the upper groove, nobody was using it. Everybody was hugging the white line through the corner and staying as low as possible. And they put cones out there and made them practice up and make the groove wider, at least 2 grooves wide, because this racetrack is extremely slick.
Let's go to Glenn Jarrett.
Well, sorry we had to interrupt you. What were you doing in there, Dale?
Watching TNN on TV right there. See the TV? And we sit up there watching TV, waiting for the rain to, you know, dry up.
How's the show so far?
It's good. Y'all doing a great job. Neil and Buddy and all of you guys doing pretty good. Hey, that other guy, what's his name? Yates guy or
Steve Evans?
Evans. Yeah, I get them Brocks and Evans is messed up there.
Well, this is a guy that a lot of people have chased. I had to chase him down here. Glad to get that first win of 1992.
Man, that felt good. All the race fans and everybody's been really excited about our team. It was good to win again. You know, last time I won, it was in Wilkesboro, and then Ford's won since then. So to break their string and get our first win in '92, it was great. And by my 400th start, Glenn, you believe that? We was running at Hickory together several years ago? Yeah. So pretty good, pretty neat.
All right, hold on, Dale. Mike Joy wants to ask me a question that I'll ask you. Mike?
Well, we got 2 things here from viewer mail, and one was if Dale's confident of the track conditions. That from Sarah, North Carolina. And also, ask him about the deal last week coming in for that last pit stop, about how they got in and out so quickly and got up and down pit road so quickly, but didn't break the speed limit.
Well, let me ask him the first question first so that he won't walk off from me before he answers that one. First question is, we had a viewer write in and want to know if you feel confident about the track conditions given the slippery surface we've seen.
Well, it's been a little bit tough in practice, but I think everybody's gotten their cars adjusted to it. We hoped to got a little practice after that race yesterday, but that didn't happen with the weather. But everybody's going to be on a pretty much caution mode here to start with. Hopefully everybody will. I will be. And I know Harry Gant and a couple of guys, Alan Kwicky especially, has talked about it. And, you know, we get the racetrack worked in. I think we'll work our way up to it, and I think we're in good shape for it. Our car has gotten better the whole time we've been here. So I think we'll be okay.
All right, the second question, let me position myself in front of the door here so he can't get by me. No, we want to know, you've been very vocal, very outspoken about the fact that your pit crew won that race for you last week, but yet there's been a lot of talk saying that you were too fast down pit road. Just how did you guys do that last stop so quickly?
We didn't get a ticket. Well, really, if you look at the, you know, the replay of it, Kyle and Ernie had to dodge Morgan getting in the pit, so that really took some time up. And I came in really good and clean and had a real clean pit stop. The guys did a super job, even old as they are.
They did a good job, and then I got off the pit road good, and I really ran hard around the bottom of 1 and 2, and I right against the berm, filling the berm as I was going, sort of like running on dirt against the berm, and when I got around far enough, I just let it up on the track, and we was going good. So we probably picked up a half second, half second getting in, and I know a good second getting out. So we beat them there and beat them a little bit in the pits.
Well, how about that, guys? Dirt track experience helped him win the World 600. Steve Evans?
You know, I wanted to have a conversation with Harry Gant for all his fans out there, but the cover was still on the 33 car. I was looking everywhere except one place. How badly does Harry Gant want to get going? Rusty Wallace chatting with him. The only place I didn't look for you was in the car. Boy, you are ready.
I'm getting out of the rain. This is the best place I see we can sit and rest.
Just remember to take the cover off. Visibility is limited with it on.
Yeah, I know it's good to see out there good. Right now it works real good, though. Got plenty of water here. Got the radio up there.
And Rusty Wallace, he's something else, isn't he?
Well, he's a heck of a driver. He's always so cool, calm, and collective. You know, I saw him sitting in that car, and I figured I'd go up and get a couple of pointers from him, see what he's up to. Hey, so what are you doing, Harris? Oh, I'm just sitting here taking in a good Sunday. You know, he don't know what he's doing. He's just having a hell of a time in there.
After what we saw here with his double last fall, he's not a bad guy to follow around a few laps here.
Yeah, I was talking to him about that wreck he had in practice today. They said, how you do that? And he's explaining how he hit that wall, how he almost had it saved. But the old track's going to be pretty treacherous out today when they get it dried out. They're going to run us 25 laps under caution. It should be better.
Go get him. Okay, Mike Joy.
Well, there's high groove Harry Gant. We'll see if that high groove works here today. Track drying efforts continue here at Dover Downs. We're getting to see a little bit of the lighter side of things. We'll be back with more after these messages. We're back live at Dover Downs, Delaware. Mike Choi with Neil Bonnet and Buddy Baker topside. Steve Evans and Glenn Jarrett down on pit road. They're dragging tires to try to dry out this surface. They sealed this track last October, trying to preserve the asphalt, just like you would your driveway, trying to keep the surface in good shape. The difference is you don't go up and down your driveway sideways at 1 to 1.5 G's and abrade that surface. So they've got to take care of it. That's why they put down the sealer. Some of the questions coming through on our 800 number. Bob from Michigan, and we spent some time last night in the restaurant with the Red Eye Racers from Michigan. Half their group's here and the rest they're home watching us. Why don't they run the race cars clockwise?
Well, I think you'd hit your head pretty hard if you run the wrong way. We try to keep the driver as far away from the wall as we possibly can.
If they would have been here earlier this week, Mike, they would have seen some of that. We did run some clockwise.
Yeah.
They were spinning in every direction, but it's like Buddy said, it's really a safety feature to keep the driver on the opposite side of the wall as much as possible.
I think really the answer goes back to horse track racing, and there is a horse track inside the mile oval here at Dover Downs. Horse races run counterclockwise on an oval, and the early auto races in this country were mostly run at fairgrounds on horse tracks. So they ran them the same way, and we still do today. What else have we got here? Why don't the cars have fuel injectors instead of carburetors?
Well, they have rules. First off, there's a lot of things. We'd like to have blowers on them, but they, you know, NASCAR keeps the ruling pretty simple, and they try to keep the cars as stock as possible.
And on these V8 engines, that means carburetors, at least for the time being. Let's check down below with Glenn Jarrett.
Well, Buddy Baker, I'm standing by with Kyle Petty, and he heard your answer to that question. What was that, Kyle?
I said Baker and me and everybody else has run clockwise a few times out here, anywhere just about.
Well, you've had an awfully strong car, particularly at Charlotte. You guys look like things have really come together for you now.
Yeah, Charlotte was really good. You know, we went over there and we took a couple of different cars and both cars worked. And we dubbed one of them our nighttime car and one of them our daytime car. And, you know, we were good in the Winston, good in the 600. We got exceptional motors. John Wilson's building really good motors right now. And, you know, Robbins brought a lot to the ball game that we didn't have before. And, you know, it just makes it a whole lot easier to go out and run good.
Have you got the rain car here?
I hope this is a rain car. It was our night car at Charlotte. And it's pretty cloudy right now, so if it stays this way, I think this car will be good.
Okay, thanks, Kyle, and good luck. Steve Evans?
Well, I'll tell you what, this has been about the most amusing 45 minutes of Winston Cup television, maybe ever. We've been having a lot of fun down here, Jeff, and you started it off coming into my opening shot.
Well, I thought I taught Brett better than that. Staying out in the rain, you know. Hi, Kathy, Matt, and Barry back home. I gotta say hi to them. I love them. We're going to get this thing in. They just said, gentlemen, get in your cars, so I got to go here a little bit.
All right, well, you got to be proud of your brother. If you can't have the pole, you might as well have another Bodine there.
Well, we're starting good fifth. That's the best for the motorcraft car this year. You know, our young brother, Todd, he's on a pole for the Busch Grand National race, so both brothers outdid their older brother this weekend, but we're going to chase Brett today. The track's looking good right now. The rain stopped. I think we'll get the race in, and hope it's a good one.
I hear the crowd cheering. They must be seeing drivers get in the car. I'll let you go.
I'm ready. See ya.
Okay, Mike.
I think we're all ready, Steve. Let's deal with a couple more questions from our viewer 800 number. If the race starts under yellow, Frank from Illinois wants to know who gets the 5 bonus points. The pole sitter, because he will lead the first lap. What do they do with old race tires? They recap them and use them for short track dirt racing. Or they do what you do and send them to the landfill. How do they decide what frequency the in-car radios use? Mike from Maine wants to know, and why don't they step on one another? Racing Radios acts as a clearinghouse for frequencies among the race teams, and of course they all file with the FCC for their radio channels, so there's not interference. Well, we got a few more here, and we'll get to them. Michelle from Alabama wants to know, how do you meet the drivers? Well, you watch shows like this. There's a good one. Now, we'll get with that in a second. Glenn?
Okay, guys, they have called the drivers to the cars right now. I'm walking along with Richard Petty. Richard, you've been coming to Dover for a long, long time, and you've had a lot of success here. Looking forward to today's race?
Well, we was. You know, I mean, if we can get rid of this rain, then I'm really looking forward to this race, yeah.
Well, we had a viewer from Colorado, Larry, called in and asked, will there be a Petty Enterprises car next year, and who's going to drive it?
That's a good question. There will be a Petty Enterprises car. Who drives it won't be Richard Petty. I don't know who else will be.
Okay, best of luck to you today.
Well, we got applications here to fill in. No, Michelle, for your question, how do you meet the drivers? Many of the car sponsors have events, autograph sessions, and there are a lot of charity events when the racers come to your area where you can meet the drivers at public functions such as that. Occasionally you'll catch them at a restaurant where you're out to dinner, that sort of thing, but I think that's probably the best way.
Yeah, the autograph sessions, usually in each town they're racing in, there'll be things in each paper telling they're going to make certain personal appearances, and that's the best way, just follow up with the newspaper ads.
Well, they're getting into the cars and we're getting set to go racing here at Dover Downs. The long-awaited Budweiser 500 is about to get underway, and we'll bring it to you after this. Well, you see the drivers strapping in. There is Brett Bodine, the pole sitter, getting ready to race here at Dover Downs. Steve Evans is with him.
Well, my first interview at the top of the show when we thought we were going racing was the pole center, Mr. Bodine, and I think I'll end my portion here with him as well. All right, you had a nice little rest there, a lot of fun. You got to be ready.
Well, we certainly are, Steve. You know, it's just one of those deals, you know, a little rain delay. No big deal, just hopefully the track will stay good condition for everybody and, you know, we'll get this thing started off in the right way.
By the way, thanks for calling me Steve. I appreciate it. Glenn?
Thanks, Steve, I believe it is, yeah. The guy you're looking at here is Davey Allison, the only man this year who has a chance to win that Winston Million. Missed it last week at Charlotte, but still a tremendous year thus far, Davey.
Well, things have been going pretty good, Glenn, but, you know, hold on just a second. We got a little problem here.
Okay, they're having some problems with their communications back with the pits. We'll wait for just a moment, see if we can get those cleared up. Why don't we go back topside for just a moment, see if we can get Davey's problems cleared away, then we'll be back.
Mike, that's nothing unusual for the guys having trouble with the radios. I don't know how many times when they're all sitting on pit road like that, all of it's so close together, and that's just something they probably correct in a hurry, but that's not uncommon for that to happen on pit road.
Plus, you got everybody keying the microphone at once, and then you've got a little bit of engine interference when they fire off. Buddy.
He's pointing to his opening there. He needs that tube plugged up where he gets fresh air through that helmet. There's his problem.
There it is. Put that little vacuum in there and let's go.
He'd rather have the air than the radio right now, I believe.
Glenn, or Steve, rather?
Well, Richard Childress, the owner of the Dale Earnhardt car, everybody down here laughing and smiling. I think it's because it looks like we're going to race finally.
Yeah, you've been watching the radar most of the morning, and it looks real good. You know, looks like all the green's gone. I believe we're going to have a good day for racing there.
Tell you what, if I was promoting any kind of outdoor sporting event, I think I'd pay NASCAR to just come in attendance with that radar. It's unbelievable the luck they have.
Yeah, we've had some good luck last year, and we've been real lucky this year as far as having any rain. So, you know, we can put up with a little bit like this.
Feeling confident?
Yeah, the car ran real well in the last 2 practices, so we feel real good about where we're at today.
Those 2 qualifying laps, identical to the thousands. That doesn't happen all that often.
No, you know, Dale is probably the most consistent driver out there as far as lap for lap, and he really turned in 2 good ones that day. They weren't fast, but they were consistent.
Indeed they were. Glenn Jarrett, you wanted to ask another question?
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Davey he's waiting on the bracket that fits here in his helmet. You can see right here the little adapter piece is not there, and the guy comes along just as I'm saying it. Davey, one final question. Hard lick you took at Charlotte. This is a tough place on you. Are you physically ready for this place today?
Well, Glenn, actually, I feel better today than I did before the start of the race last Sunday at Charlotte. And I kind of compare those 2 races, the Coca-Cola 600 and this race here at Dover.
very similar. You know, they're both real physical on the driver, and I made it to the end of that one. Just hope we can today, too.
Okay, have a good day out there.
Davey Allison
Mike Joy
here as a rookie in 1987. NASCAR informs us in 5 minutes we'll be firing engines, so we'll get to a little more housekeeping work here. Like pausing for these messages. We'll be right back. They fired the engines for TNN's live coverage of the Budweiser 500 from Dover, Delaware. Brought to you by Autolite Spark Plug. Guaranteed for 2 years, no matter how far you go. Engines are running. We're getting set to go racing at last.
Well, it's about time, Mike. I know all these guys have been ready. And when I was down in the pits a while ago looking around, the guys, you see them working on the front of the cars, trying to get them warmed up. It's cool enough today that they've got these cars plugged up a little bit in the front end area. So depending on the track, the thing should be real quick today.
Ricky Rudd Chevrolet, Derek Copes, Kyle Petty, Rusty Wallace. As they get set to roll off here, having warmed up. Davey Allison well back. Steve from Arizona called in, wanted to know how much the banking is here at Dover, and there you see it. 24 degrees in the corners, much like Rockingham, and down the straightaway, 9 degrees. This whole track, much like Bristol, is kind of like a giant cereal bowl.
That's exactly right. There's no runoff place. Even if you spin down the straightaway, you're going to crash. There's no place to go.
And Neil, there's really nowhere where you can just kind of sit and relax in the car, is there?
No, you know, you run so hard through the corners. The corner speed is real quick here. And when you come off the straightaway, like Buddy's talking about, on the straightaway, you got to work the car down through. There's enough bank in the cars when you turn the left down off the banking, and there's just no place you can relax. If you take just a little bit of a pause in there, you're going to get you slide down that track and test that inside wall.
Let's have a look at where your favorite driver qualified for today's Budweiser 500. Brett Bodine and Mark Martin have those two Fords on the pole. Brett's third career pole position. In row 2, Mike Waltrip, who finished 5th here in September, and Darrell's best starting position all year. Jeff Bodine won here in 1986. Ken Schrader won this event last year. Morgan Shepherd will start 7th. He finished 2nd here in 1988. Bill Elliott's won 4 races this year. Ernie Irvin goes off 9th, 2nd last week at Charlotte, and Sterling Marlin looking for his first win. Derek Cope won this race 2 years ago, and now Jimmy Hensley in the Cale Yarborough car. 13th will be Ricky Rudd, a 2-time winner here at Dover, and 89 Winston Cup champ Rusty Wallace. Harry Gant, a 3-time winner at Dover, and Kyle Petty, who finished 2nd here some years ago. The King, 7 victories at Dover, tied with Bobby Allison for the all-time lead there, and Terry Labonte. Dave Marcus, 10 years ago, he finished 2nd here, and Dick Trickle, who was 3rd 2 years ago at this race. Davey Allison, he's got a win at Dover, and Rick Mass making his 4th start here. Hut Strickland driving for Bobby Allison, and Dale Earnhardt, who's never started this far back here, he's 24. Chad Little in the Harry Melling Ford, and Ted Musgrave with a couple of top 10s this year already. Greg Sachs, former Daytona winner, Dale Jarrett. Bobby Hamilton, defending Rookie of the Year, and Wally Dallenbach in his first full season of NASCAR racing. Jimmy Horton, just up the road in New Jersey, makes his 6th Dover start, and Jimmy Means. Mike Potter has the only Buick in the race. Jerry Neal is out of Auburn, New York. Then Andy Belmont, freshman driver from Langhorne, Pennsylvania, and Jerry Hill. Then Alan Kulwicki, who did not post a qualifying time after crashing twice in practice. Graham Taylor shares the 19th row. James Hilton, who finished 3rd in the first race here in 1969, and D.K. Ulrich will start Bobby Gerhardt's car from the scratch position. Jerry from Texas called in, wanted to know what make of car Richard Petty has won the most in. Of course, he's in a Pontiac, won his 200th race in a Pontiac, and 139 of those 200 victories in a Plymouth.
Mike, I don't think I've ever sensed among the drivers, you can kind of pick it up too, talking to them before the race, the caution that they're approaching this race with. This track has always been one where you really had to pay attention, but I think after we saw so many cars torn up in practice with just breaking away and getting out of control, that kind of scares the drivers a little bit. But then when they get on the track, they just don't have the feel that the car's under them. And I think I've never seen the guys when they were this concerned about starting a race.
Neil, you're right. I've never heard Earnhardt say, I'm going to take it easy at any racetrack.
Good point. Grandstand filling in as we get ready to go racing.
Well, I'll tell you, that's a shot of the winners here at this racetrack. The fans have stuck this thing out for 2 solid days. We've had people sitting in these grandstands in downpours, and they've stayed for the race, and now it looks like we're going to be able to get the thing started for them.
From pit road, Glenn Jarrett.
Well, Mike, you mentioned that DK Ulrich is starting shotgun on the field back there, and I saw him before the race. It's been a long time since DK's been in a car. I was kidding him about it a little bit, saying, well, look, a nightmare, an old bad dream has come back to haunt us. He laughed. He said, yeah, I'm going to start it, but we're going to fall out real early. I said, well, how do you know that already? He said, because I've gained so much weight, my stomach's so big, the belts are too tight, it'll cut my circulation off.
Did you interview DK or Dick Brooks? DK starting the car for Bobby Gerhardt, who apparently did not practice, and that's one of the rules. You have to practice to be able to start the event. Also, by starting the event, I believe that'll qualify DK to run in the Winston Open next year, should he choose to. So
I don't think he wants to do that. He's just doing a guy a favor.
Okay. Getting ready to go racing here. The 25 laps they expect to run under caution here to get the track fully dry will count, and they will give him a green-yellow this time by, we're told. Look at the field as they go down the back straightaway. That new open grandstand and the enclosed grandstand. That's the front stretch for the horse track. That's why that grandstand's enclosed. The one over here on the front stretch for the car track is not.
Well, they use the tires to dry the track, but nothing will do it like these race cars, even at this speed. With all that big exhaust system, 4-inch pipes, got 2 4-inch pipes up under them, and all that heat right on the ground, these things will do twice the drying as the others.
Now look at the tachometer on Mark Martin's car, 3,700 RPM. The pace car is running 35 miles an hour. I would guess he's in, what, second or third gear?
Probably second, would you say, buddy?
Yeah, he's in second.
Second gear. And they do that at that speed to show them what speed they'll need to come down pit road at. There is the combined green and yellow from Doyle Ford on the flag stand. So we are now counting laps, and the pace car will pick up speed to 85 miles an hour. They will stay double file to get some heat in this surface and also get a little bit of wear up into that upper groove.
If they run 85 miles an hour, the Elmo Langley's probably going to be one of the toughest drivers on the circuit. That pace car, that's pretty quick around there, as wet as it is.
He's my pick to win today, by the way.
Elmo?
Yeah.
Well, he may lead the most laps.
I was going to say,
I'm saying.
lead the most laps. He's got, the leader that goes to the inside guy. Look who's leading the 6th car on the outside.
Wonder if he'll get the 5 bonus points. We'll be back to Dover Downs. We're under a green-yellow condition. Laps counting. First one coming by, and we'll be right back. We're back live at the Budweiser 500 at Dover Downs. 3 laps are complete. Brett Bodine has led each one of them. The Gillette Halfway Challenge is coming up in today's race. The driver leading at the halfway lap gets $10,000. Wonder if Elmo is eligible for that. A fan at home will have a chance to win a Chevrolet Lumina Z34 as well as instant prizes from Gillette. If you mailed in an entry and your entry selected, you'll be called at home and can name the driver who's leading at halfway. You'll win the car. You must be 18 or over to enter. Now, entries are already in for this week's contest. You can mail in an entry for the Sears Point race next weekend. We'll show you that address a few more times during the day as we come up on the halfway point. And hopefully somebody will get a new Chevrolet today.
They've got just 4 laps down already. You can see how dry the track is. So this thing is really going to put the track in good shape in a hurry.
There's Mark Martin alongside Brett Bodine. Now, since we're in a green-yellow condition, even though Martin's car is just that little bit ahead of Brett Bodine, Brett is being scored as the leader by NASCAR because they're still running in the order they qualified. Now, drivers may make pit stops under this condition. However, if they do so, they fall to the tail end of the field. There's a look at the front row, Bodine and Mark Martin. And just back, let me correct myself on Darrell Waltrip. I said 4th here was his best starting spot all year. A little bit of rain-induced brain fade. He was on the pole at Martinsville, of course. So he's in the Busch Clash, and he does have a pole win already this season. Steve?
All right, we're in Darrell Waltrip's pit for crew chief Jeff Hammond. Jeff, this 25-lap green-yellow, NASCAR had to do this.
Yeah, we had all the rubber washed off the track, and this track's been real treacherous all week. So we felt like in the best interest of being able to put on a good race, a safety-conscious situation. We need to go back and do this, and this has really helped the competition, help us out. We've got to put on a better show, a lot safer conditions.
How deep into this race do you think Darrell, for example, could go high and stick?
Well, like right now, this riding around will help us get that work in a little bit better. But to be realistic with you, it's probably going to take about 20 or 30 good hard laps under green. The race speed probably get that upper groove into the start to come in. So you're going to see a lot of guys being real careful trying to get down low in a hurry when they do go green.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Glenn Jarrett.
I'm in Harry Gant's pit. This is Andy Petrie, well-known son of Joe Petrie. Andy's the crew chief for Harry Gant. You guys had to pull a little double duty this week, too. You crashed your car in practice.
Yeah, we hadn't had real good luck up here this week, but,
You know, hopefully it's going to turn around. This backup car's working pretty good in practice. And we made a few changes since we practiced, so it's going to be a little bit of an unknown, but we're looking forward to it.
Andy, will this 25-lap period here give Harry any kind of feel for the car at all?
Probably not, but really what you got to be concerned about right now is to take care of the motor, take care of everything, you don't burn it up. This is kind of an odd speed to run for these cars. You know, they either want to go wide open or not at all. You know, this is not a real good speed for them, so you got to be extra careful not to burn a piston or foul a plug here.
You guys have been awfully consistent this year, running up front, up high in the point standings. Haven't gotten that win yet. Can you do it today?
Well, we're looking forward to keeping up our consistency. You know, that's the main thing. If we can keep it up, we'll be right there at the end of the year, and hopefully we can get on another run like we did last year. If we can be a little further up the points, maybe we can do a little better.
Okay, back to Mike Joyce.
Now look at Harry Gannon. We notice with interest. Look at Dale Earnhardt running way up high under this green-yellow condition, trying to work in a top groove. We're under green-yellow here at Dover. They're running 85 miles an hour behind the pace car. These laps are counting. 8 are completed. TNN's live coverage of the Budweiser 500 from Dover, Delaware will continue right after this. At the Budweiser 500, 12 laps are complete. In 3 laps, they'll be looking at the green flag. So this track is drying much faster than anticipated. And we'll get a full green on this field in about 3 laps. Let's check with Steve Evans.
Well, this handsome fellow is Tim Brewer, crew chief for Bill Elliott. And Tim, there's already some smart race car driving going on. Even under the green yellow, a lot of guys getting up and high against the wall trying to wear in this racetrack.
Well, I really couldn't hear you, Steve, but you know, NASCAR just called in and said they're going to start this thing at 15 laps instead of the 25. Bill, he's pretty much raring to go at 10, so as soon as they get this thing dried off, we'll get on with it.
All right. Well, we learned something from the crew chiefs. Not far to a green. Glenn Jarrett?
Well, thanks, Steve. This is Eddie Dickerson, crew chief for Rusty Wallace. And has Rusty said anything yet?
No, but I just told him I think we're getting ready to race the next lap by. NASCAR is saying right now they're going to start on the 15th lap, lap 14, so we may be getting a green flag next time.
But Eddie, thus far this year, you guys have had a little bit of a disappointing season. You got to feel like you're about ready to come out of the gate now.
I'll tell you what, the car's running real good here. All the guys at the shop, David Evans and his motor guys have built a wonderful motor, and the whole crew's done a good job. We got a good car today. We can win the race.
Well, guys, they're already down here on pit road. Let's get this thing started.
Glenn, they've slowed the field down to near the 35-mile-an-hour pit road speed limit, getting set for a start here.
They were monitoring all the drivers. NASCAR monitors them just like we do, and all the drivers were getting antsy. Earnhardt, Darrell, a bunch of guys saying, let's go. They want to get this thing started.
Yeah, they're ready to go, and the racetrack's in fine shape. The pit road's not in the greatest shape in the world, but the racetrack's ready to go.
A little bit of standing water there. You see it coming out of turn 4 at the entrance to pit road, and also at the exit is the water that drains off the front straightaway. Comes down. Looks like a take 1 on the field this time. Light is still on the safety car. They won't go this time. What NASCAR wanted to do is bring them down to the pit road speed, 35 miles an hour, for this last lap of caution. So they can get that setting on their tacks and know what the speed limit is. Now look down here in the lower right of the screen. A lot of standing water coming out of pit road. These are slick, non-treaded tires. The driver's going to have to be awful careful getting down there, getting back up onto the racetrack.
Mike, they will have to be very careful, but as you know, there is a speed limit, and they won't be coming in like we used to, so that's not as big a problem as it looks like.
Looking back in the field, Alan Kulwicki, who lost 2 cars here in practice, to the wall. Had to have a crew drive most all night to bring another car back. He's back in 37th spot. And here's Dale Earnhardt, 24th, the furthest back he's ever started at this racetrack, after not being among the top 20 in first day qualifying. Several drivers have made pit stops that started toward the back of the field. James Hilton, Andy Belmont have made stops, so has Graham Taylor. And we're down to it. 16 laps will go on the board this time. Brett Bodine on the point. He has led in 5 of the last 7 races this season. He'll pick up 5 bonus points for leading these first 16 laps officially.
We talked earlier about how we heard the caution in their voice that they weren't going to really run the car hard at the start of the race. We heard that even in qualifying. The guys didn't want to really kamikaze the cars around.
We may get a take 1 this time. Lights went back on the safety car. And now it is a take 1. See that light at the bottom of the screen on the roof of the safety car? That should now go out, and we'll get green next time by.
Sometimes they turn it off halfway down the back straightaway, and if that light is ever on the roof of that car, they will not go green. So you'll have to turn it off halfway down if we're going to take it green.
It's off now.
There's the rest of the field played out, 40 cars. And here is Mark Martin starting on the outside pole as Dale Jarrett makes a pit stop. Mark Martin running the car up through the rev range. There's Brett Bodine to his left. Now explain what they're doing here. There's one theory is they're getting heat in the tires. One theory is they're going to scrub the tires. Just exactly what happens there.
Oh boy, I just looking at that 26 car with that green paint job on. I said, please don't scuff your tires like that guy did in Indy last week.
Roberto Guerrero on the pace lap. What a shame that was.
I think it also puts heat in, but when you're riding around slow, when they were dragging the tires earlier, it puts trash on there, the rubber off the truck tires, and these tires pick them up. They're just cleaning the debris off the tires so they'll be clean for the start.
And that's what we'll get this time as the field is in turn 3. Brett Bodine and Mark Martin on the front row. The Waltrip brothers in row 2.
I think we'll see the biggest shuffle to the inside lane we've ever seen. Everybody trying to get on the inside.
Coming up slow out of turn 4, and now at full throttle through the gears. And a very appreciative crowd here sees this race get the green. Brett Bodine jumps out with the lead, and Mark Martin drops right in second spot. Davey Allison and Earnhardt mired in midfield. Double file down the back straightaway. This field is not going to string out all that quickly. Up front, 4, 5 cars now, single file, trying to break out. And here comes Martin to the inside. He will lead this lap. Darrell Waltrip trying to follow Mark up through, and does so. In fact, both Waltrips overhaul Brett Bodine. Back straightaway.
Neil, you see how fast they're getting single file? Nobody wants to jump out wide.
That outside lane, Hitch. Yeah, is that being cautious?
I would say so. That's Brett's wife.
Whoop. Morgan Shepherd down on the inside.
And Jeff Bodine going back a spot or 2.
That's a good example of being on the outside. He lost 2 spots in one corner.
Up front, there's Mark Martin with Darrell Waltrip. And there, at the tail end of that picture, there is Alan Kulwicki trying to move up. Remember, he started back in 37th position. He was 30th this last time by as he works underneath Rick Mast and trails now Wally Dahlbeck into the corner.
He's got to be extra cautious. It's a simple matter of losing 2 race cars. Not necessarily how fast he can run here, but he's got to get out of this race in one piece of that car. He's hurting for race cars.
Graham Taylor has gone to the garage after 18 laps. Here's Dale Earnhardt trying to work his way up. He is 25th last time by after starting 24th. Trailing Greg Sachs.
Seems like no one wants to look to the outside. Usually on a place like this, you drive that thing right on the outside of, but nobody's going to get out there.
I think Dale's doing just what he told us he would. He's being cautious and just going to ride this out for a while.
Well, look at the entire field like Buddy's talking about. No shuffling around. Only guys that are passing it gets a real clean shot, or if somebody moves over, then 3 or 4 of them go by. It's going to take a while before these guys can get where they can work this track like it needs to.
Even Davey Allison started 21st, running 20th. Just kind of holding their own at this point. Jerry O'Neill has been on pit road, so has DK Ulrich. Mark Martin up front, 23 laps complete. The last 7 under green. Darrell Waltrip right with him.
Mark Martin sure felt this wall this week. He had his Busch car here, and going in 3rd turn, he knocked the wall down and totaled his Busch car, and that sent it home.
There's Mike Waltrip, tail end of that picture. He had been 3rd. Brett Bodine has gone past him, so has Morgan Shepherd and Ernie Irvin. That's the race for 3rd right now. Jeff Bodine's gone past Mike. He's slipped back a bit. Good run for 3rd here. And it looks like now single file, they're gaining a little ground on that front 2.
Yeah, they're going to get a little bit braver as the laps go by. They'll get a little bit better feel of the car, a little better feel of the track. And it's just going to take somebody venturing over and stepping over on that thin ice and just seeing what it feels like.
Bill Elliott started 8th. He slipped to 15th. They're tiptoeing around this speedway right now.
On these radial tires, the real critical part's over with. They got some heat in the tires, and they hang to the racetrack a lot better now than they would the first couple of laps.
Andy Belmont in and out of the pits on a black flag from NASCAR. Here's Darrell making a run at Mark Martin down the inside.
No wonder he was sitting in that truck grinning before the race started. He felt like he was in good shape, and it looks like he is.
He's got a strong working race car.
You know, I talked with Darrell's crew chief the other day, and he said they're not worried about points or anything else now. They just want to lead some races and be up front.
Caution is coming on the speedway. There is a light rain falling on the back straightaway, so we are under caution. You see it on the lens of the camera. Mark Martin, the leader. Darrell Waltrip in second. Morgan Shepherd, Brett Bodine, Ernie Urban. The front five, and the finger pointing at the sky from Flagman Doyle Ford. The yellow is for the rain once again. Steve from New Mexico called in, wondered if NASCAR had a maximum time delay to run the races due to rain. NASCAR will start the race and run the race as long as there's a chance of getting it in that day, which here would mean about 3:30, 4 o'clock. But now that they have started the race, they'll run as much of it as they possibly can, try to get this entire 500 miles in. Look at the front five as we'll take this pause from Dover Downs, Delaware. Here's the rest of the top 10. We're back to Dover Downs, Delaware, and we're under caution for a light rain falling here on the speedway, especially down the back straightaway. So we'll kind of hang with it here. We're under caution with 30 laps completed. Mark Martin has led since they dropped the green flag. Brett Bodine, the pole sitter, credited with leading the laps under the green-yellow condition at the start of this event. Steve?
All right, we're in the Brett Bodine pits. Clyde Booth, the team manager. Clyde, he did the right thing at the start there, not trying. He got the points he could win and just fell back enough to stay with him.
Well, right now he says everything's good. It's just the track's damp and it's a long way to go. We got, well, probably another 4.5 or 5 hours of running here, so we just want to make sure we're going to be there at the end.
Just stay close, not get a lap down.
There, you got that right.
All right, something interesting here. They have a fan, just a simple old household fan, but you'll notice where it's drying, right where that car will stop if it comes in, so it won't slide on a wet pit road. Glenn?
Okay, this is Paul Andrews, crew chief for Alan Kowicki. Paul, as bad as this weekend has been and as bleak as today has been, things look like they're improving for you.
Yeah, the car's running good. You know, the track is just real slick right now. You know, the Hooters Ford, we're going to try to keep it out there all day long and try to make it do a good job. Alan just, you know, just doing a real good job. We're just slow track. It's just real slick right now.
Is he taking it a little extra easy because this is the third race car this week?
Well, probably not extra easy, just extra easy because we're in the back and, you know, in the track is just real slick.
Well, Alan says the car feels real good so far, and obviously he has moved up to about 25th position.
Here's Kyle Petty on pit road for tires. Jimmy Means also made a stop, and so did Wally Dallenbach. And the pace car picked up the pace while Dallenbach was on pit road, and that cost him.
Yeah, he ended up losing a lap. You know, they pitted, and we're going to do 4 tires, just like Kyle's doing. Kyle's doing 4 tires, and the caution car is coming off turn 4. It's almost like they're not aware of the fact that the pace car is running faster. Kyle right here is on the verge of getting a lap down.
And he will beat the safety car down to the end of pit road and will stay on the lead lap. That's Andy Belmont coming out of the pits with him. We're under caution, and we'll take this pause from Dover Downs as you look at the way they're running in the top 10 after 32 laps of the Bud 500. The Nashville Network's live coverage of the Budweiser 500 is being brought to you by new advanced formula rain dance. You can't argue with science. Jimmy Hensley started 12th. He's moved up to 8th place in the Cale Yarborough car. Best career finish 5th at Martinsville in 1972, driving Judy Dunleavy's Ford. Let's look at Hensley. And a little more bad luck for one competitor, Terry Labonte. In a heated discussion with NASCAR officials, their crew, as they made a pit stop, took on 4 tires, came off pit road, and then got the black flag. And that stop and go may have cost them a lap. Let's go to Glenn.
Well, this is Robin Pemberton, crew chief for Kyle Petty. Robin, you guys came in and changed 4 tires. What's Kyle saying?
Everything's fine. What the problem is, we got a piece of paper on the grill during the warm-up laps, and temperature was creeping up. You're going to be here 5 hours of racing. We hate to blow it in the first 20 laps. So it was just precautionary.
Has he said anything about the conditions of the racetrack thus far?
The racetrack's really in pretty good shape. You know, if it'll just clear up a little bit, you can run too wide on it if you have to, and just have to wait and see what happens.
Okay, we're all going to wait and see. Steve Evans?
Well, you know, this place is not only a monster for the drivers, but also for Glenn and I and our camera crews, because this is the total amount of space that we have to work behind the pit wall. There's a constant parade of tires and gas cans and members of the press and family and friends. You name it, it's down here. So if our response time once in a while may not be quite exactly what you're used to, it's because of what we're faced with here. I'll tell you, this is like a war zone down here.
Or the 50-meter high hurdle, Steve. 36 laps are completed. Let's go to the 800 phone lines and handle a question or two. Neil?
Mike, we had a note come in here from Ron from Minnesota about the lug nuts that are left on pit road during a tire change. They want to know, does it hurt the tires when you run over them? It doesn't really hurt the tires so much as when they take off spinning the rear wheels, it shoots those lug nuts out the back. No different than it would on a gravel road, and you got to be pretty good at dodging them coming out from other cars in front of you. It slings them all over pit road.
And the teams do try to get back out there in the pit and clean them up as quick as possible, too. Buddy?
Yeah, and I have a question here. Will they retire Richard Petty car number at the end of the year? I don't think so. Lee Petty's number's on Kyle Petty's car now, and I think he'll let the tradition go on. He will be the car owner, you know.
Yeah, you know, Lee Petty, of course, drove 42. Richard drove 43. Kyle had 44 for a while and now drives 42 again. I wonder if it might be a good idea just to hang number 43 up on the wall and leave it there. That's an awful tough mantle to put on whatever driver gets in that car, to carry that number and those colors and try to emulate the performance of the King. Maybe if they went to 44 or something, it might be a better deal all around.
Mike, there's a strange light in the sky. The sun just popped out. We haven't seen it in a few days, and the fans are jumping up and down. We got some sun popping out. Looks like things are going to get better here.
They were telling us, look up, look up.
There is 43. Richard Petty, a 3-time winner of this race and a 4-time winner in the fall. 7 career victories, tied with Bobby Allison for the most of anyone at this racetrack. Now, 2 cars, Terry Labonte and Wally Dallenbach, both stopped under caution and lost a lap due to the increased speed of the pace car. They have each been allowed to make up that lost lap by NASCAR, so they'll both be on the lead lap when we go back to green.
Also the 94 car, Terry Labonte, they let him go by the
correct
that lap up.
And we'll be right back to Dover Downs, Delaware, as our coverage of the Budweiser 500 continues.
It doesn't really bother me when I'm racing. We just got a disc messed up. I've got a Tuesday morning appointment for the next 4 Tuesdays, you know, and I'm going to keep putting it off until I can hopefully try to make it after Michigan.
We're back to Dover Downs to the Budweiser 500. You heard Kenny Schrader talking about his neck injury as we went to break there. Schrader, defending champion of this event, currently posted in the 9th position. Many of our 800 phone calls have to do with, will there be a Winston Cup race at Texas? Will there be one at New Hampshire, at Milwaukee, and a whole list of other speedways up and around the country? It's a tough thing to expand a race schedule. Certainly, race teams, sponsors, everyone plans on budgeting for the number of races that they allow. But I think maybe in the not-too-distant future, we'll see at least one additional Winston Cup race. Maybe not for 1993, but maybe the next year. And one of those tracks that's been mentioned heavily in the rumor mill is Indianapolis. As well, they've tested IROC cars. I guess they're going to test some Winston Cup cars there later this month.
Yeah, they said they're going to run them up there, and I also heard where they're making the walls a little bit bigger in Indy. As soon as the race is over, they're going to increase the size, and also they've got something looking down the road to work with them.
Well, you know, we used to run a sister track in Indianapolis, which was Ontario Motor Speedway, and the cars really got around there super.
Well, it'd be fun to run at Indy, and, or New Hampshire, or Milwaukee, or there's a long list of tracks that would like a Winston Cup race. Once again, today's race includes the Gillette Halfway Challenge, sponsored by the makers of Right Guard. Driver gets $10,000 who leads the halfway lap, and one of you fans could win a Chevy Lumina. You must mail in to enter the contest. They've already sifting through those mail-in postcards right now for today's contest at the halfway, and then you can mail in now to enter the contest for next week at Sears Point, California. And hopefully today somebody will win a new Chevrolet. Most of the drivers are going to pit road. Ricky Rudd stays out on the racetrack, so does Richard Petty.
Mike, usually what brings this on is they're starting to second-guess NASCAR. It's going to be 1 or 2 laps or 3. Either that or they monitor NASCAR. NASCAR might say, hey, let's go green in about 3 laps, so they want to get in and be ready to go when it goes back green.
There are very few pit stalls vacant. Folsom and Brentwood 9, and most of these stops look like fuel only. No, tires on Hut Strickland and also on the Mellon car.
That was an easy 5 points for Ricky Rudd to pick up, too, when he come by here. He's the only car that didn't come down pit road.
You know, I'm not sure, buddy, if he beat Mark Martin to the line, however. Martin was in the pit lane, but he may have crossed the line first. Certainly this time by, if Ricky stays out, you're right. It'll be the easiest 5 points he ever got.
You're right.
That's the old Dave Marcus trick. He did it better than anybody as we look at Mark Martin driving along here, coming back up on the racetrack after that stop. We apologize for having a little trouble there.
He's moving. That's the key for his microphone. That's the microphone key that you mash and talk to the pits. And see how he's got it wrapped around the steering column. It's a stretch cord like on your telephone, and he's just getting a little bit more room. Probably when he turned the steering wheel real sharp, it was tight because of running out of line. He just readjusted that.
You saw James Hilton there. Had a little trouble getting out of the pits, or wanted to make sure he got a sponsor on television. Almost came to a halt down there. I said that's the old Dave Marcus trick. Dave was probably the best, staying out on the track when everybody else would pit under caution, and that would move him up at the end of the year several spots in the Winston Cup standings every season. A spin by Chad Little driving the Harry Mellon car.
Yeah, turned the car around off the turn 2. Looked like he looped it coming out of the pits up on the racetrack. The apron is real wet. He probably lost control going up on there and spun it around. He's coming back around now.
So Little coming up to speed. Remember, these tires are slick all the way across their surface except for the wear dot indicators. There as the car goes to the garage, you see still standing water at the end of that pit lane, so where the drivers have to accelerate to get back up to turn 1, it is still quite wet down there, so they have to be a little careful until they get the water off those tires and can get some adhesion to the racetrack. Ricky Rudd and Richard Petty's number is up on the leaderboard. One reason these fans are standing. Glenn Jarrett.
The guys that were standing in Rusty Wallace's pit when he came in, they made a 4-tire change, but they also adjusted the wedge on the car. I asked Eddie Dickerson if the car was too loose, and he said no, it was way too tight. They took 2 rounds of wedge out of the car. So evidently they are getting some bite in the racetrack now because Rusty Wallace had a tight race car.
Look at Rusty Wallace in the Penske South car, Miller Genuine Draft Pontiac. And Rusty, let's see, after that round of stops, I'll have to double check before you get his position here in a moment. Here he is, 30th place. 30th place, well back. 1 to go, and we'll be racing. There, a look back at the pack. There's Earnhardt, Allison, and Kulwicki getting set to go at it. They are 23rd, 4th, and 5th, so still a long way to go. Clamber their way up in the back. I mentioned that Alan Kulwicki, in response to Pauline's question from New Mexico, was not injured in either of those 2 cars crashes in practice. How'd he get 3 race cars to Dover? He brought 2 on the tractor trailer with him when he came up this week. And after he crashed the second one, called home to North Carolina, and the crew that was left at the shop loaded up another car, and somebody drove through the night to bring it here. So he's on the Atlanta car, 3rd car of the weekend. Kevin wants to know, does NASCAR have a backup pace car? You betcha.
They're probably fueling her up right now. Elmo's going to wear the tires out on this one and run out of gas as much as he's running.
What would happen to this crowd if Richard Petty could wrest the lead from Ricky Rudd? Remember, Petty's 199th career victory came right here. Green flag.
The reason these 2 cars did not stop, track position is essential here. They're going to have a really good ride now for a while.
At Greg Sachs in 3rd place, and Dale Jarrett in 4th to that list of cars who did not stop. Then Bobby Hamilton in a 68 car. Kyle Petty stopped earlier, so did not come in on this caution. Same with Wally Dallenbach and Derek Cope. Here comes Kyle up on the bottom underneath Hamilton and makes the pass. 5th place.
That was a muscle move. When you pull out here and pass somebody down the straightaway, you're really going down the straightaway quite fast.
Richard Petty, 200 career wins, 7 here at Dover. A long day of racing, but here is Richard, 2 car lengths from the lead.
Not one person sitting down right now. They're pulling for Richard to get in the lead.
And here's son Kyle trying to work underneath Dale Jarrett. Bobby Hamilton right there.
Kyle always has a car that runs on his 1-mile racetrack. He just about dominates Rockingham every time we go there. And it's kind of a sister track to this thing right here. And his car works good at this track also.
Davey Allison moving up, and Alan Kulwicki. Dale Earnhardt right with them. Working underneath Darrell Waltrip, and that pack of 3 cars is now up to about 19th position.
We saw Darrell right in the lead a while ago. He opted to take tires on that pit stop, and really got him back in traffic now.
Sterling Marlin in the blue car underneath. There's Harry Gant. Here's something you don't often see. Harry Gant at Dover on the bottom of the racetrack.
But it's so bad that Harry won't get on top. Nobody's going to get up there for a while.
We got a bit of breakup from our in-car camera. We'll explain that the ceiling, the cloud ceiling here is so low, the helicopter that relays the signal from the in-car can't get up high enough to really get a good clear picture. We'll show you what we can, because we know that even with a little video breakup, better than not having it in-car at all.
I'm just looking here. Anybody that gets on the outside, it's just the end of it. Watch when they go in the corner, they just keep dropping back.
Dale Earnhardt team watching their man move up. Looks a little like Martinsville. If you're not on the bottom, you're not anywhere here.
Yeah, but just like Martinsville, hopefully later in the race at Martinsville, you can work the outside a little bit, and maybe just it's going to take some green laps like these guys were talking about to cut this track in. That outside might get where it's usable.
Richard Petty got caught on the outside a while ago, and Greg Sachs moved in the second, and now Kyle passing him.
Good battle for second spot. There goes Kyle. Makes the pass work at turn 1. And we may see a Petty here in the lead before too long, but it may not be Richard.
Rudd jumped out to a big lead, but Kyle might be able to run him down here in a few laps.
Ricky Rudd scrambling off from this pack. That was Andy Belmont's slow car coming out of the pit you saw on the frame briefly. Kyle Petty in second, Greg Sachs in third. There Bobby Hamilton had a run inside at Dale Jarrett. A 1.8-second lead for Ricky Rudd. Biggest of the day. Brett Bodine and Morgan Shepherd hanging with the lead pack. And Mark Martin, the outside pole sitter in the 6th car, coming up on Hamilton. A little further back, Allison, Gant, Irvin, and Walton. That's at about 18th position.
This reminds me of Talladega. When you get out of line in the draft, you go to the rear. When you get up on the high side here, you go back just like you're in the draft there.
Irvin pulls up another couple of feet on Harry. Everybody running right around the bottom of the racetrack. Earnhardt looking low on Derek Cope as they track Ken Schrader off into the corner. And Richard Petty hauling the rest of the field around. Richard in 4th place.
Look at Mark Martin. He just pulled up on Dale Jarrett and just drove right on by.
Jarrett and Terry Labonte right up there with him. And Labonte is on the lead lap.
Neil, that's what we call handling down the straightaway. Do you see it?
Yeah. You get the nose up under, mash that gas, and it jumps down that straightaway. It sure makes it easy.
Once again, Labonte went a lap down when the pace car picked up speed to keep heat in the racetrack. He and Wally Dolleback were allowed to make that lap back up. So they're still on the lead lap. Mark Martin trailing Richard Petty now. 4th place at stake here. There's Petty's crew. Lapping James Hilton. Terry Labonte, Mike Waldrop, Brett Bodine tucked right in, and Morgan Shepherd.
There's Brett Bodine going around a slow car on the outside, and they don't even want to do that right now. They're just having to tiptoe around these slow cars because they can't afford to get up there. But that's what's going to cut the track in. You're not going to tell these drivers, hey, just move out there. And when they start this lapping, it's going to make them get up there, and in turn, they track a little bit better as the day goes on.
Interesting running order here. None of the top 5 point men are in the top 15 positions right now. They're all trying to work their way up through.
That could be some of that caution. They got a lot to lose. You're talking about a long race here, and they can't afford to fall out this race early because of an accident.
Every driver's meeting, Dick Beatty tells them, gentlemen, you can't win this race in the first lap. Today, they might have listened.
Yeah, if they looked around the garage and saw the junk sitting around, I would. They listened.
Let me tell you, after watching practice Friday, they didn't need anybody to tell them to be careful.
No. Richard Petty kicked up in the groove as Brett Bodine got underneath him. And here comes the freight train. Morgan Shepherd, Sterling Marlin, and Bobby Hamilton. Jeff Bodine.
And Richard doesn't have but one choice, and that's the lift early, getting in that corner, because you just can't carry the speed with you through that corner on the outside.
Jerry O'Neill's made a stop on pit road. His action continues at lap 60. Not seeing much of Ricky Rudd because he's checked out. There he is. Best finishes 4th in 85 and 86 in this race. He's won the fall race twice. Rudd leading Kyle Petty, Greg Sachs, Mark Martin, and Terry Labonte here at Dover Downs. We'll be right back.
you know, he was right on Earnhardt.
67 laps complete. You're watching Ricky Rudd, the race leader, here at Dover Downs by some 2.6 seconds. Kyle Petty, Greg Sachs, Mark Martin, and Terry Labonte, the front 5. Behind them, Mike Waltrip, Morgan Shepherd, Sterling Marlin, Brett Bodine, and Bobby Hamilton having a good run in the early going here. 68 laps complete. That's your top 10, and here's your leader, a man who has 12 Winston Cup victories, 77 Rookie of the Year, and he's also won a Busch race here at Dover.
You know, that car is just doing super. And Ricky Rudd, probably one of the best slick track drivers in our division. He's really good. You notice he's not hugging the bottom quite as much as the rest of them. He's letting the car free up and really getting a run down the straightaway. He's really good on slick surface.
Rudd reminds me a bit of Dan Gurney. He's just so smooth in the race car. Works well on road courses, and today it works well here. Just out of the top 10, Dale Earnhardt has moved up to 11th spot. A lot of folks, we've got several questions on the 800 line. Why do you show Earnhardt a lot when he's running in the back? Well, it's usually because he's coming to the front. And that's pretty exciting to watch. Here he comes on Bobby Hamilton, trying to move into the top 10.
You know, people always said, why don't you show the action? Well, sometimes that's where the action is if someone comes through the traffic, and he's probably one of the best at working thick traffic.
He's in 10th place. I'll tell you who else is flying is Greg Sachs up there in 3rd place behind Kyle Petty.
Yeah, he's running super good. I tell you, Harry and them are getting that program together. They run really strong at Charlotte, and now they're flying here.
You know, you mentioned earlier, buddy, they had a real good run going at Charlotte, and right now he's putting heat on Kyle Petty. We were talking about how good Kyle Petty was running, and Greg Sachs is really working on Kyle right now.
Back at 10th place and 11th. Now we're going to kick back in the field just a bit and find that Alan Kulwicki has not been able to scramble up through the field as Earnhardt did. He's in 26th place behind Ted Musgrave there and Jimmy Henson. And Darrell Waltrip back there, and Richard Petty, too, was up in 2nd not 10 laps ago. It looks like he developed a push and has moved his way into this rearward back of cars.
You know, Mike, I thought he was pushing, too, but they're beating him pretty bad up off the corner. I think he could use a little more cubic inches or a little more horsepower. He's not running down the straightaway.
And Kulwicki with a car they have not practiced with, trying to get something going here. 14th and 15th place, Davey Allison and Ernie Irvin. Up front, Ricky Rudd about to put a lap on Rick Mast, and back behind him, good stout battle for 2nd spot. There's Rudd going off into turn number 1, has a sizable lead. Call it a quarter of a lap as he gets underneath Rick Mast's car. 4.2 seconds is the lead for Rudd. Here is the 2nd place battle, and Greg Sachs has gone into 2nd. He's lapping this track at 141.7 miles per hour, 25.40. Last lap on Greg Sachs.
We were just talking about how good his car is running, and he got the nose up under Kyle off 4th turn and just beat him down the front straightaway.
Well, he's going to have somebody to join him here in just a second. That 6th car has come from back in the pack, and he's running them down pretty fast.
Valvoline Ford, Mark Martin driving for Jack Roush. A lot of rumors surrounding this team in the last few weeks as the rumor mill is full crank at this point in the season, but Jack Roush said emphatically last week, the Charlotte TV station had Mark out of the car. Jack said no way. He says our deal is firm through 93. It's definitely firm through this season. There's an option year there, and Mark's trying to get something going here on Kyle Petty.
Buddy, I think there's Mark turning down under Kyle up off turn 2.
Look at that car handle down that straightaway.
You beat him that bad in the straightaway, you don't have to worry too much about getting through the corner, do you?
Well, I'm going to tell you, Kyle Petty, I know he's got a good motor, and that car drive by him like that, that's trouble for the leader pretty soon.
77 laps complete. Ricky Rudd has the front spot. This battle for 3rd place.
But I think where the keys will go, when you mentioned that we watched the leader, Ricky Rudd, how he was swinging up off the corner, he doesn't have everybody to race with him, so he doesn't have to protect that inside line so much. When you got somebody right on your back bumper and you pinch your car down, pinch it down, worried about one car getting by or possibly 2 or 3, well, Rudd's able to use the entire track out front, and whether we just watch these guys really battling for position.
You're back at 9th place, Brett Bodine, and Dale Earnhardt has caught Bodine, the 9th place car, and pole sitter for this race. That's interesting. Chevrolets have the front 2 spots, Ford in 3rd, Pontiac 4th and 5th.
you notice Earnhardt then, he's swinging wide in the center part of the corner and kind of dirt tracking it up off the corner. See where he is there? He just slings that back out, and only Earnhardt would try that on slick track.
What they got to be careful of, that little bit they're slinging out will be very slippery. And just like if one car takes that option right there and starts running a little bit higher, well, he'll actually cut him a groove. Then the next guy will move up there, and then it'll be like teamwork. They'll start, every one of them kind of like a bunch of ants hauling something along. These guys are going to have to just gradually pick away at that track and get it more usable.
Davey Allison running behind Bill Elliott now, with Ernie Irvan and Harry Gant in tow.
High-speed ants, aren't they?
Yeah.
Coming around there pretty quick.
That's back at 12th position on back. Make it 13th position on back. Now you ride with Davey Allison.
You know, that looks so smooth. If you were in that car, you wouldn't believe how hard he's working. You can't even see his hand there. He's just working that hand all the way through that corner. Pretty smooth, though.
That riding on the dashboard is a high to some folks watching from home, like Jimmy, Michael, and Matt.
Run straight away. He moved up to 12th place. He was way back on that restart. He's gradually working his way back.
See, even the straightaway is banked here. That shot shows it pretty well.
Neil, that shows the two cars are pretty even, too. There wasn't any gain all the way through that lap that we watched them run there.
Like that banking you're talking about on the straightaway. The straightaways here bank probably more than 2/3 of the racetrack we race on. A lot of the little flat track stuff we go to in the half miles and all, but the straightaway here, you just can't tell you ever get off of. You know, off the bank, it just rolls up and stays there. Somebody nipping away at the back of Davey.
9-degree banking in the straightaway, 24 in the corners.
There's Ernie Irvan trying to get up under Davey, and then see, you get you protected. You can't go out as wide as you want to make that good exit off the corner. And then when he starts pinching it down, it enables Bill to get away a little bit. If you open that door, they'll stick their foot in there, and you got to protect that inside.
That 4-car's handling so good, he run the left front off on the flat just then.
When you don't have any more room to work with, you got to use what's available, and that's the only thing that's left is the flat.
Boy, that decambers the front and the rear. You do that.
There was old Harry trying his line. He moved out there a whole car length. The first time all day we've seen a car out of line, and Harry's going to venture out there and try it.
Well, you could have bet money that if anybody was going to go upstairs and see if it worked, it would be Harry Gant.
Now, on the other end of the racetrack, he moved up a little bit higher. We'll see if he does it this lap. There's the 4-car to the inside. This might make Harry move to the inside, because if he gets under him, he should be able to go by Davey at the same time the 4-car does.
14th place at stake here. Here comes Harry Gant. Up and underneath. Just ahead of that pack, Terry Labonte. And we asked Labonte what's been the key to his consistency in 1992.
You know, I think we raced probably 6 different cars already this year, and all of them have been pretty good. So we're trying to get things figured out a little bit, and trying to figure out which cars we want to come back with the second time around at these racetracks. And we're building a new one or 2 new ones, and you know, try to get a little bit better. But we're off to a good start.
Here's the way they're running. 91 laps into the Budweiser 500. Ricky Rudd up front. Greg Sachs, though, has cut his advantage now to 3 seconds. Rest of the top 10. We started under showers in a green-yellow condition. Now we're full green, and this man has the point. Ricky Rudd's first career Winston Cup win on a super speedway came right here at Dover in 1986, driving for Bud Moore. And his crew appears to be ready on pit road to give him fuel and 2 tires. They've run 92 miles, much of it under caution.
You know, Ricky's able to run high or low. That's the reason he's moving on like he is. When he catches the car, it doesn't really matter if they can hug the bottom. He goes by him on the outside. He's getting around here.
Trailing Dale Jarrett right now, going to put Dale a lap down. Meanwhile, Greg Sachs is one of the quickest cars on this racetrack. And as Rudd has a little trouble in traffic, Greg Sachs is able to close in. 3.4 seconds now, the interval from Rudd back to Sachs. Trying the inside.
Might put Dale Jarrett down a lap. Dale might have to run that outside line if he wants to try to protect that, but he couldn't do it. Right on by him. Well, they didn't stop early, Mike, like we were talking about, but when those other guys stopped, so they're out of sync on their pit stops, and they're going to have to be coming in before long.
So Rudd, who did not stop earlier under the caution that brought most of the field to pit road, nor did Greg Sachs. Alan Kulwicki now only 2 seconds from going a lap down.
Well, that could be rough on them, too. If they have to make a green flag stop and the other guys stay out, they're going to lose a lap because of the speed limit on pit road. So this could cost you before the day's over.
Let's go to his pit, Steve Evans.
All right, guys, the Hendricks Motorsports crew is ready to go to work. They are praying for a yellow here. They can't leave Ricky out too much longer than the last by the start-finish line. They only have 2 tires up on the wall, and those will obviously go on the right-hand side of the automobile. But everybody is poised down here. It's so loud, it's really hard to communicate with the dude to find out how long he can stay out there. But I would say it's imminent.
96 miles completed. Ricky Rudd, 12-time winner on this circuit. The man chasing him, Greg Sachs, still looking for his first top 10 finish of the year. Though he led last week at Charlotte.
Excuse me. One of the things that'll enter into this is that early 20-something laps. See, counting the 15 and then the other stuff. They had about 20 under caution. These guys can usually go a little over 115 miles. So even at that, he's going to have, he's probably got 10 lap cushion to work with right now.
You think all those tires up on the pit road and everybody's signboard at the ready, you think it's a ruse?
I think they'll let the driver make the call. I think they'll tell Ricky, you watch that fuel pressure gauge, and when that thing misses, you come in. I think the crew is ready at any time. It's going to be Ricky's call when he pits.
We're looking a little further back of the field here. Harry Gant and Bill Elliott, 13th position. There's Ernie Irvin, Jeff Bodine, 11th and 12th. Brett Bodine they're pulling up on now, who is the 11th place car. Their youngest brother, Todd, is on the pole for the 200-mile Busch Grand National race that you'll see tomorrow on TNN Monday at 10 a.m. Not seeing a whole lot of side-by-side racing in the early going as everybody tries to get used to this track surface and what it's going to do.
Mike, I've been watching just every now and then somebody will venture out there. And when he does, he loses 5 or 6 positions. If he doesn't lose a position, he loses track position. He'll back up 5 car lengths behind the guy in front of him. So they keep trying it, but nobody's been able to pull it off yet.
The Bodine brothers, 2 of the 3 who cut their teeth in quarter midgets up in Chemung, New York at their dad's racetrack, moved on to modifieds, Busch cars, and then Winston Cup. Ricky Rudd drops off the banking in turn number 4 and comes down pit road.
Boy, you see him lock the brakes up in that water as he first turned on pit road.
And then comes down to the 35-mile-per-hour speed limit and now heads for his pit stall. Steve?
Ricky Rudd's crew is on full red alert. He came down, as you said, carefully maintaining that 35-mile-an-hour speed. They have left side tires ready. Let's see. We'll have to wait and see if the jack up front goes all 4. He does not want to go on down. Yes, they are doing a 4-tire change. Fuel, obviously, this is a good stop. This is a real good stop. Having a little trouble with the left front. They're having a little bit of trouble. That cost them a few ticks of the clock. Ricky Rudd is gone.
26.6 seconds for Rudd. Greg Sachs has also made a pit stop for right side tires. Richard Petty is on pit road getting 4. Sachs will also get 4 tires, and they're each going to go a lap down.
What their hope now is we see Sachs getting his tires and stuff ready to go. The 6 car has probably got about a 10 or 12 lap cushion on him, and he'll have to pit. What they got to hope for is that they don't get a caution in this time or they'll stay down.
I was just fixing to say they were praying for a caution. Now they're praying they won't have one.
That was the 6 car that just went by Rudd again, which put him 2 laps down. So that's a good indication of what it cost you to pit with that slow entry and slow exit. The 6 car is leading the race, and that's 2 laps, but he's right behind him.
Now here's Mark Martin working against his teammate, Wally Dallenbach. Both of those are Jack Roush cars. And the former Trans Am champ, Wally Dallenbach Jr., goes a lap down. Another ex-modified racer. Mark Martin having it his own way now as we hit lap 104. 10th in the Winston Cup points. 347 markers out of first. And Ricky Rudd is coming back to pit road.
Oh, man.
It might be, it might be something an inspector saw with the car. It's hard to tell what happened. They got another set of tires up. He might have a shaker. The tire's vibrating real bad. They got another set ready for him.
Steve is there.
I agree with you, Neil. I think it is a shaker. It's impossible, really, for the driver to determine which tire is bad. Apparently, Ricky bought it on the left-hand side. Those are the ones they changed. The lug nuts were not tight as well, so they tightened up the lug nuts. They just handled it here.
Oops. It looked like not only were they loose, and you see the guy putting the lug nuts on, he had to put one extra one on. There must have been 4 on the tire and the rest of them loose.
Wow, that's terrible. The way that car was running now, he's, what, 3 or 4 laps down. That's terrible.
Second place pass, Michael Waltrip going past Kyle Petty. Now, on your street car, you can run that car with 4 lug nuts and probably not have a problem if you break a wheel stud or if you lose a lug nut. But on a race car, you get such G-forces in the corners, that wheel will start vibrating when there's no nut on that one lug. It'll vibrate the wheel, might vibrate the center out of the wheel or vibrate the hub apart or spindle one.
You said the whole thing. What it does, it cracks from that hole that don't have one on, right up to the next one and right over, and pretty soon the center comes out.
Another thing also, Mike, those lug nuts and the studs that are on these things are about twice the size of what's on a regular passenger car, and it needs every one of them. They can't do without one.
So for safety reasons, there's a NASCAR inspector in every pit to make sure every lug nut gets on tight. And if not, you come back in. Here's the race for 7th place now. Same group of cars, but they're racing for 7th in that Rudd and Sachs have made their pit stops. Brett Bodine, Jeff Bodine, Harry Gant, Ernie Irvin. And they're catching up on Terry Labonte. Dale Jarrett makes a pit stop. Andy Belmont back in with the hood up yet again. Nice evenly matched group of cars here, and here's Harry back down on the bottom once again.
Yeah, Harry's not running exactly where he likes to race here, but I tell you what, he's really working well on the bottom of the racetrack. He'll be a factor as it gets better. See how it moves up on that car in the middle?
We're 110 laps complete here at Dover Downs. Here's the way they're running. A 4-second lead for Mark Martin. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Dover Downs. Mark Martin with a 4-second lead over Michael Waltrip, Kyle Petty, Morgan Shepherd, and Sterling Marlin. See the roof cam on that car. We're getting close to the halfway mark. Now, to enter the Gillette Halfway Challenge now, you must mail in your entry. There is the address. You must be 18 or over. And if you send in, you'll be entered for next week's contest at Sears Point. The driver leading the halfway lap today gets $10,000 from Gillette Right Card. And if you get called to know who that driver is, you could win a new Chevy Lumina. So mail in your entry now for next week's contest, and stay tuned to know who the driver is for the halfway lap. Here's a shot from out of Mark Martin's car. A little bit of mist on the windshield. And our roof cam on Mark's car fell victim to the rain, unfortunately. Mark will give you these pictures as he drafts along behind the Melling Oil Pumps car. That's Chad Little driving that car today. Bill Schmidt will drive it at Sears Point on the road course next weekend. And then Dave Mader will be back in the car a little later in the season. Mark Martin coming up to put that car a lap down. Rick Mast just ahead. Now Mast had gone a lap down to Ricky Rudd and is one down at the moment. Ken Schrader on pit road as we watch Morgan Shepherd, Sterling Marlin, and Dale Earnhardt for 4th place. Yeah, that's one reason why you follow Dale Earnhardt when he's in the back of the field, because up he comes.
He was 22nd when this thing at 24th, and on the green he's worked his way up to battling for 4th place right now.
Getting near the quarter post in this race at 125 laps. Will be a quarter down.
He's never happy still, is he? Look at him working on that car. He got him.
And Earnhardt uses that lapped car as a pick and goes past Sterling Marlin. Always something happening around that car.
Yeah, you know, Sterling had to be careful because he was on the outside of a lap car. The minute he used that little bit of caution, Dale got in between him and the lap car and took advantage of it.
Go back a little further here. Show you the race again for 8th place as they lap past Wally Dallenbach. Make that 7th place when you count Sterling Marlin, or rather Terry Labonte's car, Willie Hagen's car. Up they run off the corner. Trouble.
Oh, me? Wow, man, he hit hard.
Hard into the wall. Kyle Petty, turn 4.
Ooh.
Smacked the outside wall. came down through the water and to the inside. A devastating smash into the wall by Kyle Petty at turn 4. You see the fluids coming down the racetrack, showing the path from where he hit. He's moving around in the car, and he looks to be okay.
Yeah, he's taking the belts loose himself, so that's a good sign.
He collided with Dave Marcus, is the indication. Look at how bent that car is. It won't sit flat on 4 corners.
And all the damage is on the side he's on.
Yeah, we haven't seen the damage.
He's out. He's out of the car. He's okay. Boy, a tense moment here as Kyle wailed the wall. He just lost his shoe in the mud there.
Yeah.
Getting out of the car. Not rather. That's some padding there.
He's got those pads on there to keep from burning the heel on his foot.
Mandatory ride to the care center for a checkup. But what a wallop.
Yeah, we haven't seen the other side of the car. It really took a lick, it looked like.
This is after hitting the wall. Watch that. Here's Earnhardt. Right behind, who is it? Morgan Shepherd. Morgan is clear. Earnhardt right through the smoke and the dust to miss Kyle, who's about to meet the inside pit wall.
Boy, that was no minor lick to the inside once he came off the outside. That was a pretty good shot right on the driver's door to that inside wall.
From the in-car, or rather from the pit wall, there's the first impact.
You know, I'd like to see that. Looked like a car started to turn down the pits. I'm not so sure that car that turned in the pits might have cut across in front of him.
Maybe we could have that angle
Take
again.
a look at that again.
I believe that was Dave Marcus.
Somebody was turning in the pits. Kyle might have came up on him real quick, but here they are doing all the pit work.
Yeah, everybody's in. Let's have another look at that angle and watch pit road on the right side of the screen.
There should be a car fixing to come into the pits here. Well, that was after that. I thought he might have came up on the car. It's hard to tell what happened. Looked like he just broke loose.
There's that car down on the apron.
Yep.
It's just the blue car. That does appear to be Marcus. Well, we're not seeing it far enough back into turn 3. We can't from this angle to determine what caused it.
Look on pit road here. Big traffic jam. Bill Elliott can't get out of the pits. He backed up. Now he's taking off again.
Ernie just hit a tire and knocked it out the pit road.
And guess who's leading this race?
And they wondered if he went fast down pit road at Charlotte. It seems like that crew right there is capable every weekend to get him in and out quicker than anyone else, just time after time.
Dale Earnhardt, Mark Martin, the front 2, after 122 laps.
Did you hear what he called his crew? Bunch of old guys.
I know.
I think he just made them mad. They got going faster now.
They're a bunch of fast old guys, tell you that. Dave Marcus coming down pit road in the Max Race Cards entry. I don't see any apparent damage on Dave's car. First indication we had up here was a possible collision between he and Kyle Petty. Let's check with Glenn Jarrett.
This is Richard Childress, car owner for Dale Earnhardt. That was a terrific pit stop. Got you out in the lead.
Yeah, them guys just done a super job there.
Well, I've been watching you clocking the cars. You knew all along that Dale's car was just as quick as the car of Ricky Rudd when he was leading the race. Just a matter of time till he got up there. Has Dale said anything about the car?
Yeah, we're still just a little bit too tight in a couple of spots on the track, but other than that, he said he's real good.
Okay, he has been moving up steadily. He's going to be a force. Steve Evans?
I'm with Felix Sabatas, Kyle Petty's car owner. You know, race cars you can always replace. Good friends you can, and we understand that he's okay. He's getting checked out, but we understand he's okay.
No, Kyle is fine. He's survived, but we're going to have to get the car fixed and send it back out. I just don't understand that stupid idiot in the 71 car. That's not racing. The guy's an idiot, always been an idiot, will continue to be an idiot. And as long as NASCAR let people like him get on the racetrack, you're going to have this kind of problem. He shouldn't be racing.
Okay, other than that, Felix doesn't have an opinion. Mike?
I got an opinion.
Thank you, Steve. 123 laps are complete. Dale Earnhardt leads as Kyle Petty's car is all back to the garage. Give you a look at the running right now. Earnhardt, Martin, Shepherd, Waltrip, and Marlin. We'll be right back. The Nashville Network's exclusive live coverage of the Budweiser 500 is being brought to you by Napa, because there are no unimportant parts. We're under caution and a look at the race leader, Dale Earnhardt, lined up right behind Ken Schrader, right at the tail end of the lead lap there after pit stops. One reason Earnhardt gets out so quickly is the champion has first choice of pit stalls. And you see they're working right at the end of pit road. That's Dale Earnhardt's pit. As Winston Cup champion, he gets first choice of pits. Now, if we can just tilt the camera down a bit, you'll see a line where the NASCAR Winston Cup official is standing there in the middle of pit road. Under caution, when the cars come out of the pits, as they cross that line, that's the order they run in. So while other teams have to run all the way down pit road to get to that point for position, all Earnhardt has to do is pop the car into gear, scoot across that line, and that's his spot. Helps him get out first.
There's no doubt that's an edge in it, buddy, but that goes along with the championship.
Yeah, and the other thing that you overlook, you never get a penalty for going out too fast.
So Earnhardt is the leader. Kyle Petty has taken a tremendous wallop in the turn 4 wall, come out of the car unscathed. Made the mandatory trip to the infield care center where we're being told that he's just being released right now from the doctors here at Dover Downs and the infield care center, and that he is okay. There is his car, having been hauled back to the garage area. And there's Kyle talking to the record drivers. I think he's trying to get that thing positioned so they get some work done on it and get him back in the race.
One of the problems, Mike, that's the Busch cars that are lined up right there. Let's go down to Glenn Jarrett.
Well, we are standing here with Kyle Petty. Kyle's directing the record right now. He's pretty upset about things down here. The record driver, for some reason, pulled the car down here between these other cars. They cannot get to it. So Kyle has taken it upon himself to direct this record driver here. See if I can get a word with him. First of all, Kyle, you're okay?
Yeah, I'm all right.
What happened out there?
Well, Dave was pitting, and he waved his hand to pit, so I went to the outside of him. And evidently, while he was waving his hand, he hit something and just skated up the racetrack a little bit. It just hit me in the left rear. Wasn't nothing he could do. Wasn't nothing that could have been done. Just one of those things out there today.
Well, that's mighty gracious coming from a guy who just took a lick like that.
We'll see if they get that car back into the race. We're going racing this time by. Lapped cars are on the inside. You see Schrader, Ricky Rudd, who pitted under green, is a lap down. Alan Kulwicki, Greg Sachs, who pitted under green, is a lap down. And at lap 128, we'll look for the restart green flag.
Boy, and if they've ever had an opportunity to get a lap back, it's right here. They got the leader, Earnhardt, stuck on the outside in that slick groove. These guys on the inside might get that lap back.
They're going to take this restart, leaving Harry Gant on pit road. 3 pit stops and a lot of work on the right front. Gant gets away, but he may get lapped. He will get lapped as the field comes by. Schrader and Earnhardt fighting. Gant will come out behind the field, a lap down, at least 1 lap down. Out of turn 2. And Schrader holds the bottom.
Trying to fight for that position. You don't want to give up. Back to Earnhardt, he'd like to get it away from him.
Earnhardt up in the bear grease, and Schrader and Rudd get by. Here comes Kulwicki. They've got their lap back. Martin takes the lead. And Earnhardt can't get down to the bottom. Boy, paybacks are heck. Earnhardt stormed up through the field, and now they're handing it back to him.
Yeah, there's a bunch of lap cars getting a lap back right there. Not only lap cars, but good cars for the lead.
Now Earnhardt drops in line behind Greg Sachs. Let's have a look at the Napa Field standing update, show you where your favorite driver was running in this event as of 115 laps. As we watch Mark Martin with the lead right now. Single file. Martin the leader, Earnhardt, Morgan Shepherd in third, Michael Waltrip, Sterling Marlin. There's Kulwicki and Rudd. They've got a lap back, but that Jack Roush car has been fast all day, and he's running down those 2 guys who snuck out there and got a lap back on him.
Kulwicki's car really seems to come alive now. There's Kulwicki trying to get up under Rudd.
Trying to keep Mark Martin back.
He's got to be careful. That's old number 3 he's in right there. That's the 3rd car of the weekend.
Right. Go down a little further back. Mike Waltrip there, the yellow car, and Brett Bodine. They're now passing Ken Schrader. Earnhardt ahead of them. And Sterling Marlin going past Schrader now. Then Jeff Bodine. And Davey Allison's up in that front pack. 2 seconds, first to second, Mark Martin to Dale Earnhardt.
There's Davey Allison. Kenny Schrader must have some kind of problem because at the very start of the race, you see him on the outside of the 21 car there, Morgan Shepherd. He's been falling back tremendously as this thing started. There's the 2 car, Rusty Wallace, getting up under him also. He hasn't been able to get going on the restart.
Rusty is on the lead lap, posted in 9th spot. Dick Crickle right there in 10th. Snicker's car for the Stavola brothers.
I tell you, Schrader, he's a tough character, but he told me, he said last week on Tuesday, if I could have, I'd have had this surgery. So it's bothering him so bad, it's going to be tough if it doesn't give him trouble today.
Bud Strickland going by on the inside, the Revestiv's car, going past Schrader, that is. As the field sifts itself out here after the 3rd caution flag of the day, occasioned by Kyle Petty's crash at turn 4. 135 laps complete. Here's the way they're running. Mark Martin, Dale Earnhardt, Michael Waltrip in 3rd. In 4th, Brett Bodine, and in 5th, Sterling Marlin. TNN's coverage at Dover will continue after this. Welcome back to Dover Downs and the Budweiser 500. Mike Joy with Neil Bonnet and Buddy Baker topside. Steve Evans, Glenn Jarrett are on pit road today. Watching Mark Martin, who has finished second here 3 times in 11 starts, lead this race. He has not been able to overlap Alan Kulwicki, but what's that, Neil?
I don't know. It's just as you were talking there, Mike, you look down and his flames just rolling out of the car. Mark Martin leading the race. He's either got a busted header or something. As he went down, we'll watch him as he goes back around this time. As he went in the first turn, there's a lot of fire coming out of exhaust pipes on his car.
We'll get another look at it here in a minute. Watching a battle between Mike Waltrip and Brett Bodine behind second place Dale Earnhardt. Then Davey Allison right in the picture along with Morgan Shepherd in the Sitco car. 143 laps down. There's a look at Waltrip in 3rd. There's a little bit of tire mark on just about everybody today.
Yeah, and it's from just pinching that thing to the inside. If you do get caught outside of somebody, you just hold them as low as possible.
You know, they got I don't believe that Michael's running second. I think
3rd place, excuse me. Earnhardt is second. Waltrip 3.5 seconds behind the leader.
Sorry about that. You're never wrong. You know.
Oh, I'm wrong a lot. The only thing I'm right about is having you 2 guys beside me.
You know, it's kind of hard to tell who's got a real good race car here because the positioning is dictating how they show on the racetrack. You know, if they get in a good place on in traffic, they stay there. It's hard for them to pass anybody move up.
Oh, trouble. Derek Cope and Wally Dallenbach slam hard into the inside of the front straightaway wall. I heard a tire let go. I'm not sure if it was before or after the impact.
I'm like you. I kind of went blind when they hit the inside wall there. I'm telling you, they really collected that thing.
You know, the cars look so smooth racing here at speed, you completely lose the sensation of the 160 miles an hour they're coming down the front straightaway.
One thing not to overlook while they're sitting here, the action, Ricky Rudd and Kulwicki are getting a lap back on this. They beat them back to the line, so they'll get a lap back while these other guys are having problems.
Derek Cope, the 1990 winner here. Wally Dallenbach, the Trans Am champ. Safety crews quickly on the scene.
Neil, I don't think I've ever seen a car hit any harder on the inside than Derek Cope did, except you up here in the Wood Brothers car.
Yeah, yeah, I'm trying to forget that one, buddy. But I mean, he really came down to the inside and swatted that thing.
Taking Dallenbach with him.
We're going to need a canoe to get him out the way it looks. That's a big puddle there down there.
Second devastating crash of the day. The first was Kyle Petty's at turn 4 on lap 121. Petty unhurt. And away from the Dallenbach car that he is okay. Dallenbach's first start here for Jack Roush, and there's leader Mark Martin going to pit lane. Most everyone took this opportunity to stop. Glenn Jarrett.
As Mark Martin brings the Valvoline Ford to a stop here in pit lane, they're going to have a 4-tire change. But these guys have got a little bit of a problem. They're putting scuffed tires on that car. Normally they come in and bolt 4 brand new ones that have never been on the racetrack. The problem with Steve Mills said with the car, and the Jackman Falls coming around, he's okay though. but Steve Mill told me that they were tearing up the new tires, the sticker tires, when they put them on there. So that's something they're really going to have to keep an eye on. The car was a little bit tight. Boy, they almost collided coming out of pit road. He said the car was a little bit tight. They took some wedge out of it last time, but evidently it wasn't enough to keep from tearing up those new tires.
Boy, a tire, while you're talking there, Glenn, a tire was hit on pit road, flew over and hit some of Junior Johnson's crew. It looked like it knocked a couple of guys down. Hopefully they're not hurt.
Now that water on the end of pit lane was the big splash from those two cars coming to the inside wall. We'll show you some replays here and update you on the drivers as quickly as we can.
I thought I saw Derek Cope get out. Here you go, buddy. Here they're coming off forward. Dollenbach.
Dollenbach running the wall. Look at this impact. Oh, man.
Dollenbach hit the wall. There's nowhere to go. And Cope hit him, just turned him straight in the inside wall. And it's not over yet. They're fixing to come in here again pretty hard.
A hard shot.
That cameraman's got my vote. He stood there and took that picture. I'd have been somewhere in the middle of the infield.
There you see Dollenbach really glance off the wall. When he did it, just turned Cope directly into the inside. And folks, that thing's not going to slow down. If it was running 150 off the wall, he was running 150 when he hit the wall. And they hit again further on down the racetrack. I'm trying to see where that camera was at. It must be on pit wall, because I mean they were all over the top of it, spinning around, headed back down in the grass. And there's a camera sitting right on the wall, about to take it off.
And it's remote controlled. More on that in a second. Glenn Jarrett.
They have just taken Derek Cope into the care center. Wally Dollenbach is walking up right now. They're taking both drivers in. They walk in under their own power. They look a little bit shaken. Both of them were extremely wet from that bath they got down there. They hit a tremendous puddle of water there. So they're okay. We'll try to get a word with them to see what happened whenever they get back out of the care center.
A look at the remains of Derek Cope's race car and that of Wally Dollenbach. We are under caution for the 4th time today. Here's the way they're running. Alan Kulwicki did not pit. He's the leader. We'll be right back. Dale Earnhardt is the leader right now, as Alan Kulwicki has made a pit stop late in this caution period. Occasion with Wally Dollenbach, and Derek Cope slammed the front stretch wall. Glenn Jarrett?
Well, Derek Cope, that was a wild ride down the front stretch. What happened out there?
Well, you know, we had got a loose set of tires. The car was backing up a little bit, and it started to come back on me, and Wally looked like the car got a little bit tight, pushed up on the corner there, and he started going right onto the wall. And I tried to turn the car left to get out of the way, and he just come back into me, and we didn't have any place for the fuel letter filter Chevrolet to go.
I've seen a lot of wrecks at a lot of places, but both the left front and the right front tire were driven way back up against the firewall on the car. Must have been a tremendous impact.
It was a pretty good hit, about the hardest one I've taken in a while. You know, I just kind of saw it all come. I knew it was going to be a hard one, so I just kind of like hunched down and took it. And fortunately, everything collapsed. The crew did a great job. I have to give them a lot of credit. They worked on this front steering and stuff, trying to make it collapse, and they did his job. Didn't hurt me, and I got to give them guys a great tribute.
Well, you heard him say it didn't hurt him. He walked in under his own power. Fortunately, he's okay.
The 1990 winner of this race is out of it. You see the safety crews working. They have called for a welder. This wall is not concrete. It is heavy steel, as was used at Pocono, and they're going to have to make some repairs to it before we go back to green.
You know, you heard him say something really key just then. The steering collapsed. They used to weld that thing, and it would push the steering wheel back into your chest and collapse your chest. Now this all collapsed down in the steering column itself, and it didn't hurt him.
Good point, buddy. Here's a thing where racing has learned something from production cars, the collapsible steering column. Here's the shot Buddy talked about. The cameraman is Peter Larson of Broadcast Sports Technology. That camera is mounted on the pit wall. Slam goes Cope and Dollenbach, and they're not done. Look at the damage to the front end of Cope's car as it comes sliding along and will come to rest right at that camera. There's the shot. Now, let me give you the good news. Wham! Well, the bad news is the water flying has taken out the camera. As for Peter, Peter is fine. He is safely ensconced in a trailer behind the grandstand where he controls this camera and our in-car cameras from a video game type joystick. But nice work, Peter. Let's go to Glenn Jarrett.
Well, this is Wally Dollenbach. Wally, a rude welcome to Dover Downs. This was your first race here. That looked pretty scary out there.
Yeah, that was quite a hit. We were fighting a pretty bad understeer all day, and
that last time coming out of 4, it just took off for the wall, and I mean, there's nothing I can do. I'm sorry that Derek had to get caught up in that, but it was quite a hit.
Right. At the end of the crash there, you had to add insult to injury. There was a huge puddle of water down there. It looked like it sprayed everything near it.
Yeah, the track is pretty slippery outside of the bottom groove, and I mean, there's a couple times you get up on that top groove, and you just got to let the guys underneath you go because there's just no traction up there. So it's real slippery out there, and then when you hit the grass with about a foot of water in it, you just pick up speed. So it's a mess.
Okay, fortunately, Wally is okay also. He'll be back here another time.
And our shot is back. There's our speed shot from the wall. Another angle at this from the front stretch wall. And a look at the Jack Roush crew working on Wally Dallenbach's car. And there's our camera getting repaired. Our cameraman is fine. The camera, though, took a bit of a hit.
I thought that was Suicide Hayes holding that thing if he didn't run when those cars started at him.
I know why he's so brave now, bud. He's in a truck behind the grandstand.
Remote control. Great shots, though. Tough wreck. We're under caution for the 4th time today. Wally Dallenbach and Derek Cope, they are repairing the wall. There's Gary Nelson of NASCAR overseeing repairs as you look at the top 5 after 154 laps. We'll be right back. TNN's coverage of the Budweiser 500 is being brought to you by the folks at AC Delco. It's like buying time. Here's the way they're running. The top 5, Earnhardt, Labonte, Martin, Allison, and Brett Bodine. Marlin, Michael Waltrip, Rusty Waller, Jeff Bodine, and Morgan Shepherd. Repairs to the wall continue. We get a chance to look at some of our 800 phone line questions. John from California knows that Ernie Irvin's from Modesto. How does he fix his cars when he's out of town when his shop's in California? Well, John, it's not. It's in Abingdon, Virginia, where his team owners, the Morgan McClure team, is located. So Ernie gets to travel, doesn't have to worry about maintaining those cars. Somebody else does. There's Bobby Allison out there having a look with Gary Nelson at the wall.
Yeah, Bobby's pit is right. Hut Strickland's pit is right behind there. I think Bobby wants to make sure they get it fixed pretty well so they don't come driving into their pit the next time. Gary's real good at construction on fabricating cars and all, and he's going to oversee how they fix this thing. And Bobby's out there putting his 2 cents worth in. Look.
Gillette Halfway Challenge. If you want to enter next week's contest, it's box 1868, South Hackensack, New Jersey, 07606. After halfway at this point, one of you mailed in to enter this week's challenge. We'll get a phone call and a chance to win a Chevy Lumina from the folks at Right Guard and the Sensor Shaving System at Gillette. Glenn Jarrett?
Well, you're looking at 2 of Dale Earnhardt's crew doing a little cleanup work here. You see all that water out there? That wasn't here before Derek Cope and Wally Dallenbach had that crash. Right out on the other side of pit walls where they stopped, a tremendous spray of water came over pit wall and did all this. Very slick getting in and out down here. Earnhardt's pit, as we mentioned, is the last pit down on pit road. Being the Winston Cup champion makes a lot of difference because you get that first pit stop. He has been able to beat Mark Martin out both times simply because he didn't have to pull out and around anybody. He could pull right straight out. It was not a problem for him getting out first, so that might be a factor all day long.
I think that's Bobby Booty there with the blower, and John Hester helping out there. There are cars out of the race. Graham Taylor, Jerry O'Neill, D.K. Ulrich, James Hilton, Kyle Petty. They stopped making efforts to repair his car, and now Derek Cope, Wally Dallenbach.
Is the Earnhardt crew ready or what? How many teams have their own leaf blower?
Not too many, I'll wager. Yeah, they're ready. I wonder if that's a good wrench leaf blower or what. Why don't the Winston Cup teams use 5-speed transmissions? Rusty from Texas wants to know.
Well, the rule book says you use a 4-speed transmission, 4-speed manual, and that's what you go with. You don't add that fifth gear to it.
That's all the reason you need. What kind of spring rates would you run here? Dave from Colorado asks.
Oh, me. That's a driver's preference. Each driver likes the car set up differently. I would say like a 350 in the rear, both sides, and like a 1900 in the right front, and about a 1500 in the left front.
Hope you were taking notes at home on that so that when you run Dover, Delaware, you'll have the right spring. Here's Darrell Waltrip at 158 laps. We'll take this pause. We ask Darrell, what's it about being an owner-driver that agrees with you?
I want to be around in this business a long time. I don't want to just kind of take my helmet and go home and be done with it. I want to stick around for a long time. So
I really want to have a first-class operation set up and going good and strong so that when Darrell Waltrip gets ready to get out of that race car, that he can go get any driver in the garage area and they'll want to drive that car.
They're welding on the wall here at Dover Downs. That's Gary Nelson holding Bobby Allison's torch. There's Bobby with a set of wrenches, and Mel Joseph, the Speedway chairman of the board. And it looks like they may pull on that one, try to straighten it up just a bit. There's some of Ted Musgrave's crew helping out. 160 laps complete, many of them under caution here. First for the rain, 2 devastating crashes, one for Kyle Petty and this one for Wally Dallenbach and Derek Cope. Buddy Baker's got a question from our 800 number.
Oh, they want to know what helmet Dale Jarrett's wearing, you know, representing the NFL this week, and it's the Denver Broncos.
How'd you know that?
Well, I seen it on his head yesterday.
Okay. He wears a different team helmet every race along the Winston Cup circuit.
They said they thought it'd be appropriate here, a Bronco, like Brooklyn and Bronco riding it here at this racetrack, so they brought it here.
This is the place. There's Alan Kulwicki, who led a lap here, and I'm sure that sounded a little strange. It did to us here, too. But on the caution flag, Alan was ahead of leader Mark Martin, made up his lap. Then the entire field of cars that were running on the lead lap pitted. That left Kulwicki with the lead for a lap or two. Steve?
This is Paul Andrews, crew chief for Alan Kulwicki. You know, you actually led a lap with a car you hauled in for Charlotte, never even practiced with.
We did that on purpose. You know, we were just got our lap back, so we went in and stayed out there, led a lap, got that extra 5 points, and we were going to do pretty much a major chassis adjustment on the stop. So we knew we'd end up in the back anyway, so there's really no reason not to.
Considering the disaster of a weekend, anything good you'll take.
Oh yeah, that's right. You know, we're looking optimistic. You know, we're looking for a top 5 here, and we'll see what else happens. This chassis change ought to help out a lot. You know, we should be good the rest of the race.
All right, look for that car to come in, as he said, for a chassis change.
Alan Kulwicki's team hard at work there. He's 4th in the point standing. He's 132 points out of 1st. That was from Friday in practice, one of 2 crashes for Alan Kulwicki, and 2 cars, we're told, destroyed, beyond repair here at the racetrack.
You know, Alan's very statement after this wreck right here is, hey, I spun out on the straightaway. The other one was in the corner. When they first got here, they couldn't even use full throttle on the straightaway without spinning out.
So Kulwicki is on the lead lap. Tail end of the lead lap since he made a late pit stop. He is 19th. There is Earnhardt, who has picked up the lead. Terry Labonte in 2nd in the Sunoco car. 3rd is Mark Martin in the Valvoline Ford, and 4th Davey Allison.
I would like to say something. Earnhardt cuts up with those guys. He didn't mean those guys were old at all. You see where he's at after every pit stop?
Look at him and Elmo going at it.
Oh,
here.
yeah, bang.
Pretty good. I don't think he wants Elmo to get those bonus points.
Okay, told him to get back behind him there.
Just having a little fun on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, we do have a backup pace car. It looks like we might need it.
Yep. We scraped this one up enough. Look at Michael Waltrip. He's running in 8th place right now. We asked Mike if what he could do in Dover to help resolve the missing ingredient in his program.
I won my first Winston Cup pole position here a year ago with CNN on board, and you know, a lot of good things have happened here. Hopefully this weekend we're going to get this bus heading in another direction, and we'll be in good shape before the year's out.
TNN Motorsports live coverage of the Budweiser 500 is being brought to you by Haviland Formula 3 Motor Oil. Add more life to your car. Well, I've got the welder truck working along there. The welder works fine, but looks like the wrecker's going to have to give it an assist to get it down the pit lane. And we're 164 laps into this race. They need to make repairs to that wall, so in case there is another impact, it's in place and will hold. Robert Yates is out there along with Bobby Allison and some other folks helping out. Dale Earnhardt has led 20 of these 164 laps, 19 cars on the lead lap, 7 lead changes among 5 drivers. The average speed, 93, 4 cautions for 62 laps. Here are the drivers that have led this race. There are 5 of them. Alan Kulwicki, the most recent one, leading a couple of laps here under the caution after getting back on the lead lap. And there behind the safety car, Dale Earnhardt's been having a little fun with Elmo Langley. We the question, I'm looking to see who called it in. But somebody called in and said, can you give us more than the top 10 drivers in the point standings? Dennis from Ohio. So, Dennis, there's the front 5. Allison, Elliott, Gant, Kulwicki, Earnhardt. There's the rest of the top 10, back through Mark Martin in 10th place. Ricky Rudd's 11th. Back through Ernie Irvin in 15th. And 16th through 20th. With Ted Musgrave in there. Derek Cope won't pick up a lot of points today. There's Kenny Schrader. Hut Strickland, Rick Mast. The Waltrip's off to a slow start here. And Wally Dollenbeck. So hope your favorite driver was in amongst those top 25 there. Alan Kulwicki just pitted to clean the windshield and the grill to make a stop. Who's the oldest Winston Cup driver? That was one of our questions. Isabel from Connecticut called in. Hazard a guess?
I know. It's not fair for me to guess, though.
Okay.
I heard you say it a while ago. A.J. Foyt.
A.J. is 57 years old.
No, I'm wrong.
Nope. Well, now Red Farmer's 62, but hasn't been running Winston Cup. Herschel McGregor.
Oh.
60 years old. I believe Herschel will be in the running next week out at Sears Point.
Yes, he's going to run the race on Saturday and Sunday in the Winston Cup race. It seems like Herschel just runs more and more as he goes along.
His daughter, Debbie Bound, working with us today as one of the pit producers down along pit road. There's Dale Earnhardt, who has the lead here. Last week's winner in Charlotte. And here is Mark Martin. Mark Martin running in the 3rd spot now. Terry Labonte splitting those 2 leaders. Let's go down to Mark's pit. Glenn Jarrett.
Steve Mill, you told me a while ago that the reason you put on the scuffed tires were you're having a little blistering problem. Is that because of the green surface on the racetrack, or is there a problem with the car?
No, race car is good, and we haven't had any tire trouble at all. Typically, we run scuffed tires here at Dover because we have had trouble in the past. Right now, all our tires look good, and we're considering putting on stickers on the next stop. A lot of people around us are trying them, and they seem okay, so we're just a little extra cautious because we can run real good right now without overextending ourselves. We think we're in pretty good shape. We don't want to mess up.
Well, it has to be a little frustrating to have a race car as fast as it is, but the way the pits are jammed up here, both times you've come in and had pretty good pit stops, yet came out 2nd or 3rd in the grid.
Well, this is a good racetrack for racing. If you got a better car, you can pass. So I told my guys, just don't worry about it. If you come off pit road a little bit behind, the car seems good enough we can pass. We got a long ways to go yet, so we think we're in real good shape. We're not worried a whole lot about what happens in here.
Well, that's pretty much confidence when they can get him out anywhere they want, know it can go to the front.
Well, as the guys were saying here in the booth, you see that way that car handles down the straightaway, you don't have a whole lot to worry about. But Earnhardt will give him a run. And let's give a call to Terry Labonte. Labonte is right there in 2nd place. And, was kind of unheralded, got caught there in the pits, got a lap back. Labonte's never won here in 26 starts. Best finished 2nd in 1984. Has 10 Winston Cup wins. Steve?
Well, you know, if any team's strategy involves trying to be in front at the halfway mark for more than the $10,000, in case it rains, remember, if they go 1 lap past halfway and it rains, it's over. Take a look here. Dover is just about in this area here. All of this moisture is off the coast. It is pushed through here, some minor little cells, none of which would bring any significant moisture. So, guys, the best news of the weekend, it looks clean for the rest of the day.
Thanks, Steve. Welding continuing on pit road, and the average speed in this race is rapidly approaching the speed limit. 90 miles an hour we're down to with these caution laps.
It's very seldom you see us have to be down this long on a caution, but this is one of the few tracks, and you're seeing all the tracks cut out the boilerplate and going to concrete walls everywhere. And every track we go to is doing away with the boilerplate, and I'm sure, buddy, down the road that they'll eventually put concrete walls here. And it's not something against the track. It's just a matter. It takes a while to get it worked in their system.
I will tell you this, though. That wall given like that may have saved Derek Cope a lot of really hurting himself a lot worse than he was.
Yeah, it's nice to have something to give other than your body when you hit those walls. It's nice to see something collapse, but boy, I'll tell you what, he really wrapped the deal.
We'll report that NASCAR has asked the Earnhardt crew to request that their drivers stay behind the pace cars. And that's what he's doing. Roger from Illinois calls in, says, if Richard Petty won 2 or 3 races this year, you think it would encourage him to drive for another season, or is this it?
No, I'm sure that Richard made up his mind. That's what he's going to do. And this is his farewell tour, and everybody loves Richard Petty. And I, for one, want him to quit on top like he is with the fans.
I'm with you. Glenn?
Well, as if you don't have enough problems out there, your race driver's a cut-up today. NASCAR has told him to lay off of the pace car.
Yeah, you know, I told him to pick the pace up a little bit. Pace car took off a little bit, so he just wasn't going as fast as they all wanted to go there one time.
Well, obviously right now the car seems to be working pretty well, though. Mark Martin seems to be about the only car can do anything with him.
Well, we've been turning some good laps. You know, Red's still running real well. He's just a lap or so down, but he's still a long way to go. Now Davey, he's up there, so it'll get pretty tough.
You said the car was a little bit tight a while ago on that last restart when Dale fell back a little bit. Have you tried to correct that?
No, we've worked with it just one time, but we're kind of see what the track does with the weather, too.
Okay, he's got to go keep an eye on his driver right now, keep him out of mischief.
Keep him out of the back of the pace car. Earnhardt's trying to lead a couple of laps here, but Elmo's holding him on. Go Elmo. Fan called in about that pace car, and by the way, it's a stock Pontiac Grand Prix GTP. They don't modify them in any way. Just the light bar on the top. It shows how far passenger car technology has come. They can run that car just the way it comes from the factory at the 85-mile-an-hour speeds they were running in these first 25 laps. 172 laps complete. A look at Davey Allison, who runs here in 4th place. He's had such success this season. We asked him what would he do to beat Davey Allison.
You think I'm going to tell my secrets? No, I don't know. You know, we don't have anything tricked. We don't have anything that's, you know, out of the ordinary. It's just a bunch of guys that are working hard, and things have been going our way this year up to this point. And I guess I'd look at it the same way I've looked at some other people. You know, we just got to go there and do our best job every week and keep learning as we go.
Back at Dover Down, Dale Earnhardt leading Terry Labonte, Mark Martin, Davey Allison, and Brett Bodine. That's the way the top 5 goes. We're still under caution as they are still working on the inside front straightaway wall. After Derek Cope nearly knocked it down. There's the rest of the top 15 as we're rolling along here. All these cars are on the lead lap back to Alan Kulwicki. Greg Sachs is 1 lap down. And the cars from there on back are a lap in arrears. See how far back that boilerplate wall was pushed from the impact from Derek Cope's car. And that impact brings up a question from Texas on why they don't put airbags in these race cars. I mean, that's the big thing on the street now, airbags and anti-lock brakes, but we don't have them.
I don't know why either. It's a good idea. I just don't really know.
I'm not so sure that you wouldn't take a lick on a racetrack that wouldn't put you out of the race but would open the airbag. You know, real hard concussion real quick on take a shot on the track and open the airbag, you could be in a bind. But
yeah, and I think Kyle Petty did just that. If an airbag had gone off when he hit the wall in turn 4, he wouldn't have been able to steer that thing and try to at least scrub off some speed before he got to the wall down here toward turn 1. Nobody?
I don't know about that. I'm going to tell you the honest truth. When you hit that outside wall, you're a passenger from then on.
Well, airbags, maybe. Terry Labonte running here in 2nd place, having a great run here at Dover today after getting a reprieve from going a lap down under that first caution when the pace car picked up its speed. Glenn Jarrett?
This is Dewey Livingood, the crew chief for Terry Labonte. Dewey, first of all, the car looks like it's really working great out there.
Yeah, we just made another pretty big change on the stop before this last one. He said it helped the car, and we just tried to stay out on his stop and just get gas instead of changing tires because traffic's so hard to pass here, so we tried to get ourselves back up front.
Well, you guys got a little bit of a break early on there when they picked up the pace on the pace car when you were in here and lost that lap, but fortunately NASCAR gave that back to you.
Right, yeah, we really appreciate that. They worked with us on that. That'd have been a tough break right there, but it was so wet down there, Terry had to go above that blend line, so they brought us back in, but they worked with us, and we really appreciate it.
Well, all year long, you guys have been one of the most consistent cars out there. What has made the difference in this team this year?
Well, we just got a lot of good guys working good together. You know, everybody's doing their job and working good, and Terry's doing a heck of a job driving, and he's been real consistent. It's just been a good year.
Well, guys, Terry Labonte is a quiet man. Dewey Livingood is the same. They go about their business, and they've been doing a darn good job of it this year.
Kind of snuck up on 2nd place there, where they're running right now and running well. A couple of questions about the first race here at Dover. Robert from Georgia, also a question from Debbie of California. The first race here was July 6, 1969. Craig Fielden tells us from his 4-volume set, The History of Stock Car Racing. Richard Petty won it. The only year Petty won or ran a Ford. He won 9 races in Ford in 1969. This was one of them. Steve writes or calls in about what is the most frequent winning starting spot at Dover. 3rd place. 10 races have been won here from 3rd starting spot. That's where Mike Waltrip started today. Steve Evans?
Guys, believe it or not, this is where Derek Cope was pitted. Before that car completed its crash down there, his guys were loading up their stuff. The tool caddy is gone, the tires are gone, the fuel cans, the jacks, everything is gone. Same thing with Kyle Petty. He was still smoking the tires in his crash when his crew was loading up. There's a couple of reasons for that. They never do hang around very long. But let's remember, all of these teams have to be on the West Coast by probably Thursday morning. If Bonnie and Clyde could have made getaways like this, they might still be out there roaming the country. They'd be in their 90s, but they'd still be out there.
Well, the tough thing for teams like Kyle Petty and Derek Cope is they can't get out of the garage area, as there is no tunnel here at this racetrack. They'll have to wait until after this race is over to make their exit in the Mad Dash back to Charlotte or to the West Coast. Bill from Connecticut wanted to know how many Fords in the field today. 14 Fords. Now, what a flip-flop. Neil and Buddy, 2 years ago, most of the field were GM cars. GM made some changes and cutbacks. Buick's out. Oldsmobile is gone from Winston Cup racing at the end of this season. And look at how the field is flip-flopped. This race started 14 Fords, 12 Chevrolets, 8 Pontiacs, 5 Oldsmobiles, and 1 Buick.
I tell you, when you start winning, people start tacking that sheet metal on.
Well, I tell you, not only that, too, it had been a few years back, there wasn't any parts available. You heard Jack Roush mention earlier that they're not going to get themselves in that position again where there's not any pieces available for teams. You couldn't have but a certain number of teams because there wasn't enough blocks and heads to go around. Now that stuff is readily available.
Davey Allison on pit road as the welding work has been completed on the wall. Ted Musgrave, Mike Waltrip is in, Dick Trickle, Hut Strickland, Darrell Waltrip, Jeff Bodine, Ernie Urban, all making pit stops. So is Kenny Schrader, Richard Petty, Harry Gant, Alan Kulwicki, and Ricky Rudd. Glenn Jarrett.
Well, this is Gary Nelson, NASCAR's man in the know. Gary, you kind of took things in your own hands out there to take care of that problem on the wall. Is everything okay now?
Yeah, the wall's strong. Took a little bit of welding and some bolts to get it back. It got hit pretty hard, but it's safe now.
Well, there was nobody else obviously out there as qualified as you to do that, though. You just took things in your own hands.
Well, there's a welder here. We just couldn't find him, and he happened to have the keys for the truck too. So we're still looking for him.
Things don't always run smoothly.
There is the impact that brought about this long caution. Derek Cope and Wally Dallenbach are okay. Both were checked out at the infield care center and released, as was Kyle Petty from his accident at lap 121. There's Kyle. I guess they finally found a place to park that car, but it has been retired from the event. They've not been able to get it back together. 181 laps complete. We're under caution, but we're just a few laps to go before we get back to green. How do you become a Winston Cup official, and do they have other jobs during the week? Tom from Pennsylvania wants to know.
A lot of the guys that work on the things do work on the weekends, and they travel. Doyle Ford, for example, lives in Nashville, Tennessee. The flagman, he travels back and forth a lot. A lot of guys travel the circuit, and just really a lot of them are retired that work on the NASCAR full-time, but it's just a mixture of part-time and full-time help.
And how do you get to be one? Well, many of the fellas move up from the NASCAR Winston Racing Series at the short tracks to, say, the Busch Grand National Series or the Modified Tour, and they get to work a few Winston Cup races like Daytona, and if they work out, then they hook on full-time for the 30 events. Elman from Ohio wants to know if there's a designated crew member to pick up tires that are being changed on pit road, because we've seen a couple of tires kicked out into the lane.
They have a man to do that just like they have a man on the catch can. I mean, that's very important.
Definitely there is. Sometimes he can't get there in time to grab that one tire before the team pulls out, and you don't want to be running out there looking for tires when other cars are trying to pull out.
Right.
Here's the Napa update. Let you know where your favorite driver is running. Brought to you by Napa, because there are no unimportant parts.
There's one lap to go. It's been a long caution, but they're going to turn them loose now. This is almost like a complete restart at the first of the race. They ran around so slow, it's going to be like a total restart. We're going to see what happens on the scramble here.
Green flag next time by. All these cars are on the lead lap. The last of those should be Alan Kulwicki in 19th place. Then cars one lap down.
You know, we were talking about the inspectors. That is the toughest job I guess anybody could have. These guys have to love racing to be in that position, to have to tell a good friend that he can't run something, but they're good with everybody. They give them fair breaks.
Getting ready to go green. Earnhardt, Terry Labonte, Mark Martin, Brett Bodine.
here's Sachs down on the inside. He was one of the fastest cars at the first of the race. Here's an opportunity for him to get a lap back on the inside. Earnhardt beat him off the start.
I think he might have been afraid of jumping the start. He got out ahead of Dale and then had to backpedal in the throttle, and Earnhardt was gone. Green flag. Sachs and Labonte going at it. Labonte in second place. Mark Martin had a look under Dale Jarrett there. Earnhardt has turned in his key. He has paid his bill, signed the credit card receipt, and checked out. And here's a good look at why. Look at the battle back behind him.
Mark Martin caught on the outside, right exactly where he doesn't need to be. Caught out there, can't get going. Look at everybody dive to that inside. Looks like a bunch of fighter planes headed for the bottom. They don't know one wants another guy to get under because it moves out and everybody goes by.
Well, look at Mark Martin, though. He's trying to make that outside groove work now as they're 3 wide down the front straightaway for a moment. Harry Gant on the inside. And Bobby Hamilton wisely eases out of the throttle there.
I tell you what, this is getting where the outside groove is working a lot better in the first part of the race. And I tell you what, we're going to see some side-by-side racing here in the next 15, 20 laps.
Labonte has Brett Bodine now, right on his bumper for second place.
Mike, here's something interesting. Sachs, we were talking earlier, he had one of the fastest cars on the track. He's ran Earnhardt down from way back, and here's an opportunity for him to get that lap back.
81 laps of caution so far. The record 103 laps of yellow in 1975.
Dale, look at this 41 car come up off the corner. You talk about something strong.
I think Barnes builds the motors. I was seeing the thing where they said Barnes built the motors. I think he's always had style engines.
Second place battle. Brett Bodine and Sterling Marlin trying to run down Terry Labonte here. Sachs has his lap back. Earnhardt dropped in right behind him. There they are. Looked like Dale almost let him go.
Well, he probably didn't want to get that side-by-side race and get hung out there and the leaders running back down. He saw that Sachs ran him down from 10 car lengths back. He might as well let him go.
Good spotter to help you with that, won't he?
Yeah, that's when you really need him to just not do something foolish. You know, go ahead and let him have the spot back. No reason to battle him and lose a lot of ground.
So Earnhardt leads it. Greg Sachs is back on the lead lap with one of the fastest cars here. We're watching this race for second place. Brett Bodine, Sterling Marlin, Terry Labonte, Mark Martin, all in that battle. There they are, the front 5 at 189 laps. We'll be right back. TNN's live coverage of the Budweiser 500 is brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers with that clean, crisp, cold taste. Nothing beats the Bud. Caution has just come out for an incident on the back straightaway. Rick Mast has crashed Jackson Brothers School Oldsmobile. Mast had been running up with a pack of cars a lap down when the incident occurred. Safety crew's there, but he's sitting in the car hoping to get it back around to the garage area.
Mike, he's already out. He's up here with the...
Excuse
there
me.
he goes.
He has climbed from the car.
Looks to be in good shape. He's not limping or anything, so that's good.
And Miles the Monster gets another one.
Got caught back there in the bowling alley.
He's had quite an appetite today.
Here it comes off the corner, front end out from under. Here he goes, bam. Right, see all the other marks on the wall? A little bit of flame right here. When he comes off out, just like Buddy said earlier, right down, sweeps you down that inside wall.
Neil, that looked like a piece of suspension broke. See the left front house wobbling around?
Yeah.
He went straight up the racetrack, just like something broke on the car.
There's Rick Mast's car and getting hooked up to the wrecker. Dale Earnhardt and Mark Martin getting service. Martin had dropped to 5th. Here's Brett Bodine, who moved up into 2nd place. Fussing with the hood pins on that car. They did not raise the hood, though. Bill Elliott gets out quickly. Darrell Waltrip.
Fuel only on several of the cars, Mike.
Jimmy Hensley's car getting out. And there's Mark Martin and Terry Labonte. Davey Allison, Ted Musgrave having completed pit stops, and Greg Sachs back on the lead lap. Did quite a job to overhaul Earnhardt after Dale jumped out to that big lead on the restart. Sachs has had a very checkered career in Winston Cup racing. He was a standout driver in the modifieds. has shown sparks of brilliance like his Firecracker 400 win, and also had some very lean and very tough times.
One thing you'll never hear anybody say about Greg Sachs, that he won't push the button. He's strong.
Absolutely. Harry Gant has had a myriad of problems. 3 long pit stops under that last caution flag. We will get an update on Harry's misfortunes. He's currently posted, I believe, a lap down. Let's double check his scoring updates here. We're carrying Harry Gant as 1 lap down, but we'll double check that on that last caution, whether or not he may have gotten back on the lead lap.
Harry's probably just mad because he can't get up there and rake around the wall like he does every time he comes over.
He might be on the tail end of the lead lap. That could be the discrepancy here. And we'll double check it. Finished second here. I think that was in Jack Beebe's car, wasn't it? No, not if it was 1985. No, he had a good run here for Jack and nearly won this race, though. Back when Beebe had the 47 car.
NASCAR taking that thing in for you. You just don't hit the wall easy here. You know, running got away from him, and look how square it is.
You can't really tell when that's in front of that car. It hit so hard, it just pancaked the whole right side. But it looked like something broke on the front. He went straight up.
Yep.
Field circulating under caution here. In turn 2, where Mast hit, there you see the marks. Now, 2 of those marks were already there, and he talk about a clean kill. He just center punched it right between the 2 marks that had already been up there. If he'd been a target shooter, he couldn't have done any better.
No, and there was 2 cars that spun in practice on the first day we were here, and they hit within a foot apart right in the middle of 1 and 2. So it seems like there's a couple of critical areas to break the car loose, and it's almost you got an arrow pointing to where you're going to hit.
The teeth of the monster. Miles the monster here at Dover Down. 197 laps are on the board. Mark Martin was asked what it's going to take for him to do well on these super speedways.
Just got to be running good and run all day. We were running good at Charlotte, and we didn't run all day. And, you know, it takes a combination of everything to win races.
They dropped the green flag to the restart just 3 laps ago here at Dover. Ernie Irvin at the front of the pack, Hut Strickland, and the Harry Melling car, number 9, with Chad Little aboard, the front 3. Ricky Rudd got another lap back from Irvin on the restart. As they went to turn 1, Ernie just dropped right in behind Ricky, and Ricky took off. So he is now only 1 lap down. He had been 3 down and has now made up 2 of those 3. Harry Gant is posted as 1 lap behind. First car 1 lap down is Gant, and that's 21st place. The Harry Melling car. They bounced drivers in and out of that car all season. Dave Mater's done a good job with it, but Chad Little, in what is a 1-race deal, took this restart in 3rd place, and he's since been overhauled, but he's giving that car a good run today.
They were up as high as 2nd place a while ago. Like you say, he's running the car hard. He's just having a little bit of trouble in traffic, dropping back down.
Well, he'll learn in a little while. You can't go up high like that. He went straight to the back, and then he got up high.
Morgan Shepherd and Sterling Marlin have gone past him, so he's now the 5th place car.
If people are wondering about the big shuffle in positioning right here on the pit stops, a lot of the guys just took on fuel. The ones that took on 4 tires are back in the pack. A lot of these guys up front just strictly put gas in, and they got it real quick.
One of those, the Raybesta Chevy of Hut Strickland, Bobby Allison's car, running in 2nd place.
That's a Raybesta's car. They got all over me the other day about not mentioning that and calling it Bobby Allison's car. That's a Raybesta's car coming there.
And now you have. Ernie Irvin. That bright yellow Kodak Chevrolet for the Morgan McClure team out of Abingdon, Virginia. And Strickland, whose best career finished 4th, going for the lead.
Now the leader's a Raybesta's car.
And he made it look kind of easy. Just drove by him up the back straightaway and got on the inside.
Much like Ricky Rudd did down the front straightaway going into turn number 1. But you know, we're not even halfway. It's kind of early in this race for making those daring last lap kind of moves.
Now this thing is too prone to bite you when you get a little bit reckless. So you're going to see them use a lot more caution than you ever have.
Did that opener scare you guys? I know how tough this racetrack is, and I heard it growling. I don't want any more of that.
Oh, that was my stomach. Puff of smoke there. Was that Ernie? Not sure. Here are the drivers who were leading this race. Ernie Irvan and Mark Martin. They were leading when the caution came out. They took on tires and went way to the back of the pack. Rather, Dale Earnhardt and Mark Martin now shown in 12th and 13th positions. Behind them, Alan Kulwicki. Just ahead, Darrell Waltrip, Brett Bodine.
We were talking about track positioning all the time. You're seeing Mark Martin and Earnhardt, who were way up front, have changed for tires, put them way back in the back, and it's going to be hard for them to get back up to the front.
Did you notice wind chill in Mark Martin's car? They only clean in front of the driver. It looks like you couldn't see well, but you don't look out of the right-hand side of the wind chill except when you have a car on the outside nose, so it really don't matter as long as you know he's there.
Saw Earnhardt's car dancing around a bit going into the corner.
There we go. That part over there is useless anyhow. He's looking out the left side.
Of course, our camera's mounted on the right side, so maybe they could clean it for us. Here's Earnhardt underneath Waltrip.
We touch a little bit coming up off the corner.
Dead even at the line. And give Earnhardt the spot as he also moves past Jimmy Hensley. And that was for position. Hensley's on the lead lap. He's giving Cale's car a good ride.
I tell you, this last set of stops, when a lot of the guys just put gas in, they put tires, might change some of these other teams' minds. If they see these tires are capable of running long runs like that, they might do it themselves.
Bill Elliott moving up, just took a spot away from Chad Little in the Melling number 9. And there's Dick Trickle in the Stivola Brothers car, the Snickers Ford, running right in that pack, and so too is Dave Marcus.
You know, Bill Elliott, he's gotten to be the most deceptive race car driver out there. You don't ever hear much about him until the last half of the race, and then all of a sudden, there he is.
And he doesn't have a spectacular driving style like an Earnhardt or an Irvan or a Rusty Wallace. But he just, like a Darrell Waltrip, you know, I mean, he's a driver, moves his way up through the field, and he'll be there if the car will get there.
He's got one thing that's in his favor. He's a winning race car driver. That's very important.
Okay. And he's about to put the move on his Junior Johnson stablemate, Sterling Marlin.
A little bit of move under Sterling moved him out. We're going to watch 4 cars passing in one corner. Not a whole lot he can do about it.
That answers the question about do teammates work together on the racetrack. Not that time. It's got to be tough to consider who you're running against and what's happening in a deal like that. I guess you don't pay much mind to
he must have
who
a
you're
problem,
passing,
Mike.
what happened. Yeah, Marlin's in trouble. He's come to the pit lane. Sterling Marlin is on pit road. Here's the race at 11th spot. Neil, you were teamed up with Darrell Waltrip for several years at juniors, but did you race that car just like anybody else's?
Yeah, we always tried to outrun it just as much as we did anyone else, and everybody was saying that was the reason the 2-car team concept didn't work, because we didn't work together. But you know, I always felt like when they set me in that seat, I was supposed to beat the other cars. I wasn't concerned a whole lot about what happened with the other car, and maybe that was the wrong concept, but I always felt like I was supposed to race anybody on the racetrack.
Good battle here. Waltrip, Martin, Allison. Sterling Marlin got tires, went back on the racetrack. 23-second stop for Sterling Marlin. 4 tires. Hut Strickland is your leader. First race that he has led since Darlington in March. Ernie Irvan runs second. Morgan Shepherd's third. Then Bill Elliott and Dick Trickle.
Now we see why Bobby Allison was out there helping him get the wall fixed. He knew he had a pretty good race car there. He wanted this thing to go back green. He said, my man's ready to race.
There are your leaders. And things have tightened up at the front again.
One thing I noticed about Ernie Irvan, his car wasn't quite as fast the first few laps as when they went back to green, but now he seems to be as fast as Hut or anybody on the racetrack.
Not only that, he's Strickland's fixing to get Rudd back that lap if he's not careful.
Hut Strickland, the race leader. Ernie Irvan in second, and they're about to try to put Ricky Rudd another lap down, who's had a fast car and has led a bit of this race today. 4th place car, Bill Elliott. We asked him why Dover Downs racetrack has been so good to him.
It's been pretty decent for me. You know, we've run good here. We've had some bad problems, but All in all, I really love running this racetrack. It's different for a lot of different reasons, and, you know, this will be a little different this go-around. You're driving the number 11 car, but, you know, it's still the same old Dover.
At Dover Downs, the pit board is up for Bill Elliott in the Budweiser 500. Tim Brewer-led Junior Johnson team is ready for left side tires. Elliott won this race in 85 and 88. Good quick stop, 9.8 seconds. I don't know how much gas they got on that stop. They got left side.
What a stop. I'm telling you what, now that was something to watch.
Elliott back out, trailing Hut Strickland and Ernie Irvin. These two cars running 1-2. There's Darrell Waltrip moving up, and Davey Allison, Mark Martin right with him. Waltrip, the 8th place car, trying to put the move on Chad Little. Let's have a look at the top 10. Mark Martin dives underneath there. There's your front 5, with Strickland and Irvin running right together, and behind them, there's that battle we've been following. Chad Little in 8th place, Waltrip and Mark Martin. There's the tail end of that pack. There's Greg Sachs right back up in it. Rusty Wallace is there. Haven't seen much of Rusty today. He's running in 13th place. He's on the lead lap. Tight, tough pack of cars. And remember, we're still 23 laps from halfway.
Neil, I'm just looking around. The sun's starting to come out. This is going to change the complexion of this racetrack to a great degree now.
That's the first time these guys have seen sunshine since we've been in Dover, Delaware for 3 days. So I don't have any doubt, buddy, if it does stay out long, it'll really slick this racetrack up, and they certainly don't need that.
Well, last year, record high temperatures for the date on the Friday of this weekend. And here, we're barely nudging into the 60s. It's rained up until noon on race day. Hut Strickland, best career finish, 2nd at Michigan International Speedway. Followed his cousin-in-law, Davey Allison, with the checkered flag on that day.
It looks like Hut's car has given up on him just at least a little bit. Now, I'm not gauging that off with the 4 car behind you. I'm gauging off Rudd in front of him. Rudd has pulled out to about 2 blocks in front of him, along with the 4 car putting a lot of pressure on him. So it looks like he might be going away just a little bit.
Ricky Rudd now just 1 lap down. Ernie Irvin moving up. There's a look at Hut Strickland and Irvin. The mustache is back, by the way. He shaved it off at Talladega, so did most of that team. But he's grown it back. Changed his luck. That's why he took it off. Now it's coming back on. Harry Gant, a lap down. There's that lead pack. Let's go to Steve Evans.
Well, Bill Elliott apparently felt he had a left side tire going down. They're pouring water all over the tire, all over the feed, over the valve stem, trying to find where air might be escaping. In fact, one of the first people here was a Goodyear tire engineer. They almost always are if the problem involves tires. They have not yet apparently found a problem with that tire, but they're continuing to look. A couple of things you mentioned, buddy. We have 2 important changes. The sun is out, my jacket is off, Glenn's jacket is off, the temperature has come up 15 degrees, but the humidity has soared. Humidity obviously will sap the engines of some horsepower, but what does the heat do to the racetrack? Better or worse?
Much worse. I'll tell you what, they can look at that tire. It's got a rub mark on it where it's been up against another car on the other side there.
Buddy, that also answered one of the questions that came in earlier. How do they air up the inner liner? If they noticed that tire, that rim had 2 sets of bleeders on 2 sets of air intakes. There's 2 needles on there, one for the inner tire, one for the outer tire.
So just like you fill up your passenger car tire, except you have to do it twice.
Yep.
2 fill valves.
It don't matter a bit now. They got it off there. That's the important part.
Up front, Hut Strickland, the Rebesta Chevrolet. That's Bobby Allison's car, and Allison's last win as a car owner when he was driving for himself at Richmond, Virginia, February 1974. 234 laps complete here at Dover Downs. Coming up on halfway with Hut Strickland leading Ernie Irvin, Morgan Shepherd, Dick Trickle, and Brett Bodine. Hut Strickland Leading the Budweiser 500 coming up on halfway. Ernie Irvan has had him right in his tire tracks ever since they dropped the green flag at lap 199 after Rick Mass crashed into the backstretch wall off of turn 2. There's your interval back to Morgan Shepherd, bottom of the frame. He's the third place car. Next up, Dick Trickle. There's Trickle going out of the bottom of the frame. And Brett Bodine, Dale Earnhardt, Michael Waltrip, Chad Little, and Darrell Waltrip. That's that battle we've been watching. Chad Little at the front of that pack is the 8th place car.
Look at the big piece of paper up on the front of the 9 car there.
That's not good. That's right in front of the air intake on that radiator. That's not good.
Huge piece of paper. Must come off one of them Richard Petty hot dogs they introduced yesterday here.
Signature edition, I guess.
About the only thing I haven't seen is the roll of Richard Petty paper to celebrate the Fan Appreciation Tour.
Give them time. That's on its way.
That's right, probably.
I'll say one thing about Davy's crew. They cleaned his windshield a lot better than the rest of me.
Watching from Davey Allison's car. Trailing Mark Martin, carrying our other in-car camera today, and Jeff Bodine right behind. 3 Fords right in a row, running 10th, 11th, and 12th.
Look at poor old Mark Martin there. He needs a set of those little bumper things on the fender where you tell when you get close to people.
Curb feelers?
Yeah, curb feelers. That'd come in handy.
Call J.C. Whitney. We'll order some. Waltrip and Martin. This is 9th on back. Davey Allison. Rusty Wallace right in the picture. And Greg Sachs coming back up after getting back on the lead lap. He's the 14th place car. 18 cars are on the lead lap. Back at the front of the pack. I think we're seeing a little different Ernie Irvan here than the guy who used to try to get out front and lead every single lap if he could. He's just kind of kept that margin very constant between himself and the lead car of Hut Strickland. Let's go down to that pit and Glenn Jarrett.
Well, Bobby Hutt's doing a great job out there. Everything all smiles down here. No problems right now, huh?
Well, the Rebestis Montegate Tic Tac Chevy is running pretty good right now. We got the wall fixed over here. Now the car's doing okay, too.
You did a great job on the wall out there. We saw you out there directing traffic.
I got a chance to work with Gary Nelson, one of my all-time favorites.
You got to be pleased about this car today. You guys got a real good chance, real good shot at picking up that first win.
Oh, I really feel like the guys have worked hard and it could happen.
Okay, they're all smiles right now, and he's setting the pace.
And doing a great job with it. Hot Strickland. The new Alabama gang, huh, Neil?
I tell you what, with Davey and Hutt, they're kind of taking charge of everything. I'd like to see Hutton win a race. I'm telling you, they've been so close. And, I'd have to tell the truth. I'd sure like to see Bobby Allison's team win a race, and I'd like to see Hutt be the guy to do it. Bobby's worked hard behind the scenes for that deal.
Let's go back and pick up the race for 8. For Chad Little, driving the Harry Melling car today. And Bill Schmidt, the Redding, California former Winston West champ, will steer it next week at Sears Point. Here right in the middle of that pack, Mark Martin and Davey Allison. Here's Martin diving low on Darrell Waltrip. Nothing there. Darrell fills up a lot of track. Brett Bodine, a lot of smoke from his car going down toward turn 1. Looks like his car under Kenny Bernstein's rail as it gets down to the end of the shutoff area.
He did a great job of getting that car out of the racing groove.
Coasting along at the bottom of the racetrack on the backstretch. Don't know if he'll make it all the way around.
No, but look at there. He's getting all the way down out of the racing groove. A lot of guys that blow a motor, they'll coast around up there, but he's got it down completely out of the groove and shouldn't be a problem for the rest of the drivers.
3 laps from halfway, and pole sitter Brett Bodine sees his chances of winning go up in smoke.
He was running in about 4th place before that happened, and really costing him now.
Now Ernie Irvan puts on the pressure as they come up to lap Richard Petty.
It looks like Harry Gant wants that lap back, too. He's starting to, if this gets hotter and a little more aggravating to the drivers, Harry Gant will start coming on.
Halfway money, $10,000 up for grabs next time by. You sent in that postcard to the Gillette folks. they could be calling you. Bodine has gone to the garage area. He is out of the race. Lap 250, $10,000 coming up. Out of turn 4. Ring the cash register for Hut Strickland. So Hut Strickland is the name to know. He picks up $10,000 for leading the halfway lap. Stand by your phone. If you send in a postcard to enter the Gillette Halfway Challenge, you could be called. And if you know that Hut Strickland led the halfway lap, you could be driving a new Chevy Lumina next week. Steve Evans.
Sonny Richardson, crew chief for Brent Bodine. Did you have any idea that engine was going away? Was it low on oil pressure, overheating, any warning whatsoever?
No, Brent told us as soon as the motor let go that the gauges all looked fine, all the temperatures were good. Just a heart broke of some sort.
Sorry to see you out after winning the pole. You did a great job.
Thank you.
There. Just past halfway. And look who they're coming up to put a lap on. Bill Elliott.
Yeah, he lost some time a while ago when he pitted for those left side tires, even though it was just a 9-second stop. And they haven't corrected the problem because he's fixing to go a lap down on the green.
He is 1 lap down as a result of the pit stop and would go 2 laps down. There's an ominous fact for the Bobby Allison team. In 10 races, the driver leading at halfway has only won 2 of them this season.
You see Harry Gant creeping into the picture there? He wants that lap back really bad. I wouldn't be surprised. He might even do it on the outside. Look at this.
But he's up there in his old favorite place. If he just can make the curve, he'll be all right.
He's got him right where he wants him.
He wouldn't, I tell you what, he won't hesitate to stick it out there on the outside. Look where he's at. He said, well, guys, if you're going to ride around the inside, I'll try this outside for a while. And Gant has always been so successful at this racetrack or any track running high. He's going to give it a try. Okay, here's Ernie Irvin moving up on the outside. He sees Harry trying it. He said, well, maybe I better try him out there.
Also, they're coming up on Ted Musgrave. And Ted's had a strong ride today here. This pack here as they try to get Elliott down 2. Going to sneak underneath Bill. Here comes Harry looking on the high side. Whoops. 2. And they're coming up on Greg Sachs along with Musgrave and Ricky Rudd. But Strickland's going to slice on by. Sachs back a lap down.
Yep, Mike, you were just right. We just saw Sachs get that lap back a while ago, and he's off the pace a little bit, and he's lost the lap back again.
Well, I tell you, that sunshine coming out has a lot to do with that. But Earnhardt was one of the fastest cars, and he's dropped back quite a ways.
Strickland coming up now on Ted Musgrave, and here's a guy that deserves a call. He's had a good, strong race. He's come off that ASA circuit, and if there's a driver in that garage that understands chassis and steering and how these things work, it's Ted Musgrave.
And they've made the complete cycle. They've had Chevrolet, Ford, Buick, Oldsmobile, Pontiac. They've ran every type car.
So with 256 laps complete, we'll take this break and ask Harry Gadd, wouldn't he like to be remembered as Mr. May in June this year?
Yeah, but it may take to September for us to get going good. We're making a little headway with the new Chevrolet head, so that's one plus for us. You know, we sure hope we can win a race before September. And here at Dover seems to be a good place for. We're going to put it all in, so we can't do it here.
The Nashville Network's live coverage of the Budweiser 500 is being brought to you by Ektar, film from Kodak. For advanced photographers, the genius is in the details. Glenn Jarrett.
Well, guys, now we know why Kyle Petty was so upset earlier on after he crashed when the record driver towed his car away out there in Never Never Land. These guys are actually trying to put this car back together to get him back out there to pick up those valuable Winston Cup points. Now, I've seen a lot of wrecked race cars. You may not be able to see it right here. The left front frame rail of this car has been pushed over in excess of 12 inches, and they have heated it, beat it, banged on it. They're working on it. They're trying to get it back together. Let's walk around the side of the car here and take a look at the damage that these guys are trying to fix.
Glenn, the leader is on
we'll
pit
do that
road.
later. Let's go back upstairs to Mike Joy.
Hut Strickland is on pit road for right side tires. Pit stop at lap 264. That will take him from the lead. Second place car now in the back straightaway. And Strickland will go a lap down as he gets 4 tires.
Good 4 tires, 2 cans of fuel.
And he's away. 22.6 is not bad for 4 tires and a full load, but it will put him at least a lap back. to this man, Ernie Irvin. Irvin coming off the fourth corner. Mark Martin is on pit road now. One of the top 10 cars and one of the drivers who has led this race. Will they clean the windshield? I'm sure that's not their top priority.
I don't know who he's following, but they're losing a lot of oil.
There's a picture of concentration.
Mike, that's exactly what it takes. You hit the nail in. When you come in, you just got, there we see him going down a couple rounds. He must have been too tight. They took a little bit of bite. They went down that right rear, loosened the car up just a little bit. Get 4 tires on his car also.
Earnhardt's crew looking on. 21 seconds.
Well, they're going to let him look out of half of it anyhow.
I'll go ahead and pay that guy to clean the other side while we're at it.
Or give him a longer pole. Terry Labonte, who was running second back at the restart, now finds himself being lapped by Ernie Irvin. And there's Harry Gant. Going to come up and make the move on Labonte for position.
Harry would have probably had his lap back, but he tried that high move a while ago, and as Neil pointed out to me, he nearly crashed. I'm going to tell you, that car got all over the racetrack.
And Irvin will pit. Scheduled stop, lap 269.
Well, this is the time when half the teams are hoping for a caution, the other half are hoping they don't see it. The guys that haven't come in, they said, man, if I get a caution, we've got some of these leaders down. The other guys that pitted, they said, boy, let's go green about 15 more laps to equalize this thing. It's a gamble to pit this early.
Puts Morgan Shepherd in the lead. Tony Glover's team goes to work. And there's your new leader, Morgan Shepherd. And Dick Trickle has moved up to second spot.
He's done a great job in this second car since he took over for it. I tell you, he's really run well.
Look at Tony Glover cranking on the left rear of that car. I don't know how many rounds he told him. Tony just cranked till he got tired of turning the rich, it looked like.
21.5 seconds. And Irvin's back in the fray at lap 270. Morgan Shepherd is the new leader. Dick Trickle in second place. Glenn Jarrett.
Rather than a disappointing finish to a day that started, it looked pretty good out there. What happened?
Well, evidently, Glenn, something broke in a motor, a connecting rod or something. Just all of a sudden coming off the fourth turn, something snapped, you know, maybe a crankshaft. You never know. But I'll tell you what, we kept adjusting on that old girl, and she was coming up through there. We got hung in the back there on that pit exchange. Some guys didn't pit, some did. We elected to pit. We were the only one coming forward. I looked in the mirror, and there was nobody behind me. We were just going to the front. I really felt like we had a strong race car at that point. We'll never know what we would have had at the end of the day. My car was just a little tight. Sun's starting to come out. You know it would have come to me.
Well, better luck next time.
Ricky Rudd, Dale Earnhardt, and Michael Waltrip are on pit road. All for 4 tires. Neil, if the first couple of cars take 4, you almost have to.
Yeah, you know, you can kind of, if you need to get out. The problem what they get into here, Mike, is they got to put fuel in it anyway. They can put, time they put 2 tanks of fuel in this thing, they go ahead and get the right side. Watch the guy with the gas can. He's put 1 can in there. The other guy just hooking up the second can. The car's already down. So you're going to lose 3 or 4 more seconds. You might as well go ahead and put those left sides on the thing and have it. It's not that much of a gain. See him still plugging in, just topping it on off while the car's jacked up on that side. So you might as well get the tires.
20.2 seconds for Earnhardt. Alan Kulwicki making his stop at lap 274. 17 cars were on the lead lap. Check that. 9 cars now after these pit stops. Now here's Harry Gant, who is now back on the lead lap as long as we stay under green here right now. He had gotten the lap down early after 3 pit stops, 1 long one, under a caution flag at about the 121 lap mark. Steve?
Well, imagine where Harry might be right now had it not been for a problem with their first pit stop. Andy Petrie, what was the problem with that first stop that got your lap down?
Well, what happened was we were making just a routine stop. Pulled out of the pit box here. It's kind of narrow, and I think he ran into the 28 car. Bent the toe in about an inch. You know, we didn't have any choice to fix it. You know, he ended up costing us a lap, but if it can go good, maybe we'll get it back.
It appears to be handling well now. Harry's on the move.
It seems to be okay. You know, we got the right lane. It seems to be handling fine.
Thanks a lot. Dick Trickle has made a stop. He had been the second place car. Morgan Shepherd remains in the lead. Trickle gets 4 tires in 24.3 seconds. 277 laps complete. The man they're chasing right now is Morgan Shepherd. TNN's live coverage of the Budweiser 500 from Dover down continues after this. Good news for Harry Gant, bad news for Mark Martin. Look at the right side of Martin's car after a crash in the back straightaway that we'll have a look at in a moment. On the ensuing caution flag, Harry Gant made up his lap and is on the lap with the leaders, who now include only the cars who had not pitted under green. The leader, Morgan Shepherd, who is now in the Wood Brothers pit, Darrell Waltrip, Jimmy Hensley in the Cale Yarborough car, and Terry Labonte. Dave Marcus appeared to collide with Mark Martin. There's the damage to the Max Race Card Chevrolet of Marcus. And Bill Elliott is coming to the start-finish line and stopping out on the racetrack. Don't know if he's being held. Was ordered there to hold for the field by radio.
Must have passed here in a minute. Must have passed the caution car coming around.
Jimmy Hensley is on pit road. So is Darrell Waltrip, Harry Gant, Terry Labonte. Those cars were all on the lead lap. The first lap of caution that the pits are open is open to only cars on the lead lap. Then everybody else comes in next time by. Mark Martin doesn't want to get out of that car. He wants to get it back to the pits.
There he is grinding on the starter. Looks like, buddy. Looks like he's got his hand up on the starter. Yeah, he's trying to crank it. The thing won't crank it. He's wanting somebody to push it right now, and he can't get anybody over to push it.
Yeah, the ambulance crew wants to take him in. He wants to go back to the pits in the car. Let's have a look here. Turn 2, once again, Calamity Corner.
Marcus loses control right there, hits the outside wall
In
the
same
mark.
place. Yep. And look at Earnhardt on the inside.
I tell you, that guy's got a talent of missing stuff like that. You see it every race.
Through there, a long shot. There was Marcus losing control, getting the outside wall, taking the 6 car with him as he comes back across the track.
Now these are in slow motion. Whoa. Let's have a look at it from this next replay in real time. What did Mark Martin see?
There he's coming up off the corner, buddy. Looks like Marcus, you see Marcus break loose. He almost clears him, and he gets that lick. If you listen to it. Oh, man. Wham, hit that inside wall. Good lick.
Now, there's why you don't want an airbag in that race car. Because after Mark Martin got hit and came in and banged it once, he was steering that thing all the way down to turn 3. And if he'd had an airbag in his face, might not have been able to do that.
I tell you, he's really upset around there. He's wanting somebody to come push his car in. He thinks that thing, you know, even though it's torn all to pieces, he wants to get it back in and get it repaired so he can get some points.
I see a truck headed towards his way right now.
I don't think they got there as fast as he wanted them.
No. Well, he's coming in now. They're pushing him. He's got his earplugs out.
Got the helmet off. Let's see this again in real time as we're now watching Martin live as he comes to pit road. Or rather,
he's got it running, I believe.
Right here. Watch the tail end of this car just take off right here. Boom. The only thing missing there is the smell of tire smoke in it.
Yeah, that's pretty well the way it is right there.
And the G-force. Folks, if you're watching at home, just have somebody stand there if we show this again. And about the time he gets to that wall, have somebody whop you up the side of the head real hard. And you'll get an idea what happened to Mark there.
He got it recranked himself.
Glenn Jarrett?
Well, Martin has brought the Valvoline Ford in for service on it. There is no damage to the left side of the car. A little bent place on the left front fender, a lot of grass and mud on the car. When Mark came in, he had his helmet completely off. I've never seen that before, so obviously he was trying to tell somebody something, and he wanted to make sure that they understood exactly what he said.
Glenn, one thing there, he took such a lick, you saw his helmet fly over. I've done that before and had my earplugs. You got the helmet fly over and snatch your earplugs out. We saw him coming down pit road, and it looked like he was working with his headset to get it positioned back in before he put his helmet back on.
Steve Evans?
Well, after all the problems Dave Marcus has had today, if I was him, I'm not sure I'd want to go back out onto the Monster Mile. But that isn't the case here. The crew has gone to work trying to strip away any of the body material that might rub on a tire. They don't care at this point about aerodynamics.
fact, he has stayed in the car with the engine running, trying to whack the throttle a little bit and keep it fairly cool. They are going to try to go back out there. We'll have to wait and see if the car will handle it all.
Well, that race car to his looks like one that got clothespin to the bicycle spokes and run up for a long, long time. Tough break for Marcus. He's had a couple of them today. 284 laps are on the board. Here's Mark Martin coming back in, but he's going to stay in this race. Morgan Shepherd, the leader. We'll be right back. TNN's live coverage of the Budweiser 500 is brought to you by Autolite Spark Plugs, guaranteed for 2 years no matter how far you go. They've just taken the green flag for the restart. Morgan Shepherd, the race leader. The cars at the front of the pack have gotten their lap back, as Davey Allison is trying to do right now. All of the cars that made pit stops under the green, there's Morgan real loose. All the cars that made pit stops under green went a lap down when the caution flag came out, because Shepherd had not pitted, neither had Darrell Waltrip, Jimmy Hensley, or Terry Labonte. Shepherd almost loses the car.
Boy, he's really got him bottled up. He's having some kind of a problem. Really got traffic stacked up behind him.
Darrell Waltrip now on the point. Here comes Labonte for second place against Shepherd. A lot of those lap cars in the middle. I say lap cars. 30 laps ago, they were among the cars leading this race. But now a lap down. Labonte scoots on past. That's second place. Shepherd now third. Jimmy Hensley is fourth. And Harry Gant is fifth.
A little smoke fly there. Looked like a little contact, innocent contact.
Remember, Gant was running just ahead of the race leaders and made up a lap. Dave Marcus is back on track with what's left of that car. Waltrip the leader. Darrell Waltrip 23rd in the Winston Cup points. 537 out of first. Has won twice here in the fall, never in the spring, in 37 starts. Back at 8th place, Dick Trickle and Dale Earnhardt. They are one lap down.
Actually, the lead cars on this lap, I mean, they're the ones out in front of the leaders. This group right here is hoping for a caution. The 4-car Vermin, too, is on the tail end of the lead lap. These 3 cars here are in position to get a lap back if they have a caution flag.
The complexion of this race turned upside down by the Dave Marcus Mark Martin crash at lap 281.
They just black flagged the 71 car Marcus, and probably don't have all the pieces tied down like NASCAR ones, and they're bringing it back in.
Saw Earnhardt's win total 53. No response to an 800-line question. There's Trickle right on Earnhardt. It doesn't get any closer than that.
Well, as close as you can do it.
Jeff Bodine on pit road. 17th place. He's 2 laps down. Bud Moore's crew goes to work. Marcus has gone to the garage. Coming up on 300 laps complete. Here at Dover, Delaware, Darrell Waltrip, the race leader. Sterling Marlin gets a lap back. Morgan Shepherd in second. Terry Labonte in third. Jimmy Hensley and Harry Gant. Then on the tail end of the lead lap comes Ernie Irvan. We'll be right back to Dover Down. In Morgan Shepherd's pit, the Wood brothers are trying to figure this one out, and so are we, after a caution flag has really split the field. Coming up on 300 laps here, 298 on the board. Let's have a look at the top 10. On the lead lap are your first 6 cars. There's the front 5. These are cars that did not pit before that last caution flag came out, including Harry Gant, who got his lap back. So they are on the lead lap. Now also on the lead lap is 6th place Ernie Irvan. He's on the tail end of the lead lap. Strickland, Trickle, Earnhardt, and Kulwicki all made pit stops running behind the race leader when a lap down in the pits, lost another lap getting up to speed, so we're 2 down. And now they have moved ahead of the race leader, so they are but 1 lap down. Add to that list Rusty Wallace, Davey Allison, and Sterling Marlin, who are 1 lap down. 2 laps back, Bill Elliott, Ted Musgrave, Kenny Schrader, Mike Waltrip, Ricky Rudd. And the rest of the field well back of that.
And here's a battle for the lead. Morgan Shepherd has pulled back in from Darrell Waltrip in first place. Morgan tried it on the outside early, and like you talked, Mike, his car got real squirrely, but he's staying down low and gaining on Darrell again now.
What it looked like on that restart, he had a little bit of push in the car, and then it made it loose coming up off the corner because it was pushing bad. He's going to try it outside now. That's ought to be cute.
There's Morgan trying it on the outside, Darrell for the lead.
And Sterling Marlin just ahead, along with Jeff Bodine. Shepherd, the leader by a car length. Morgan Shepherd back up front. You see Bill Elliott in the picture. He is 2 laps down. It's one of those strange turns of event that, as you said earlier, half the field was looking for a caution and half the field was hoping they wouldn't get one once green flag pit stops began.
Yeah, everybody that was leading a while ago, you know, got really put back some, and the guys who were fortunate enough to stay out, put them right in contention to win the race.
Morgan Shepherd's really hooked up. He's passing cars on the outside, inside. He's really got the thing hooked up right now.
His team, the Wood Brothers, are the winningest car owners here. 7 victories for Wood Brothers cars. Bonnet had one of those.
They won a couple of times with it. I tell you, their car always flew at this place.
Petty Enterprises 6 wins, Junior Johnson 5 on the all-time list. Here's Terry Labonte up and under Sterling Marlin. That's not for position, but Waltrip, Labonte, and Gant are on the lead lap and are battling for second.
Gant's in position there with Labonte, and he's been able to catch everybody, but he hasn't been able to get around them. That not being able to utilize that outside lane has really hurt Harry all day long, because that's where it's always been his key at this place, and he can run them down. Watch here, he just flies up behind him, but he can't seem to get by him on the outside where he's normally been able to do that.
That lead pack. Remember, they're trailing Morgan Shepherd. 306 laps down.
I'll tell you one thing that might enter into Harry's deal here, buddy. You know yourself, when you run the top of this racetrack or the bottom, and you set up for it, sometimes it takes a different gear ratio. You know, it's a lot further around the top of that racetrack, and Harry is always pulled taller gears than anybody else, higher ratios, and that high gear might hurt him off the corners a little bit.
Yeah, I'd say he's probably 10 points different from the guys that are running right around on the bottom there, and it has hurt him some.
We've talked about the groove here at Dover Downs and had a couple of calls on our 800 number about that. You know, just where is the groove? Do they mark it by cones, or do they, you know, is it a line you see on the racetrack? I guess sometimes you can. You get enough rubber worn down there. But when you say the groove, just what do you mean?
The groove is the seat of your pants where the race car feels best and where the car will stick the best.
The best way I can show you is when they go through there, see the dark part of that racetrack? That's what we call the groove. When they start in this corner, you'll be able to see a darker area than the rest of the racetrack, and that's the groove right around the bottom there.
10th place battle.
Schrader just popped the wall, I think, on the back straightaway.
And he's going very slow down the backstretch.
Well, he didn't need that with his neck problem he has, popping that wall.
Last year's winner, Kenny Schrader. Tire rub on the right rear.
He squared it up pretty good. Looked like he squared the whole right side of it up pretty good.
Yep. Yeah. He'll come to pit road. Ken Schrader was running 16th, 2 laps back. Won this race last year, one of his 4 Winston Cup victories.
Yeah, he's got it with both ends of the car. The right front's knocked in, the front panel's knocked off, and the rear, so he squared it pretty good.
If you're going to hit it, though, hit it flat like that. That's much better than one end hitting the other.
Right in the middle of that 25, that long slash is a roll bar. It's squared all the way up against the roll cage inside. So the first thing they do, just do your 4-tire change. Get those off, and they're going to have to evaluate how bad that car is on the right side to see if it's usable.
You see him pulling on that quarter panel. Let's get a little more tire pressure. It's right against the panel.
We'll have a look at the incident in a moment. Here's what happened to Ken Schrader.
He's up there in no man's land.
Okay, what he done there, he felt that happening. He drove that car up there rather than for it to turn into the wall. You see how easy he went up and squared that baby up.
See that black mark back there, buddy? That's the one we was talking about. It seems like there's a place, if you're going to go, you hit here.
Caution is out. At lap 311, we have caution on the racetrack. And no apparent incident. Debris on the track, we're told, brings out the caution.
Is that Pierre Debris?
I think it's Jacques Debris, the
Jacques Debris,
famous French driver, teammate to Neil Bonet.
Now, that got a lot of the guys back on the lap. You know, we had a good group of cars that were put down by that earlier caution that were out in front of Morgan Shepherd, who was leading the race. So that puts several of these guys back in there in contention again. The 4 car, the 8 car, the 3 car was up there, the 7. Several of them are going to get a lap back on this.
Now, the 4 car is on the lead lap. He'll be okay. We'll double check and we'll try to sort out this scoring here in a moment. We're under caution. There's a bit of debris on the racetrack where Ken Schrader slapped the wall. See the green paint up there? We'll be right back to Dover Down after this. We're back to Dover Downs where Ken Schrader's car is being worked on behind pit wall. There was a large piece of sheet metal from his car that came loose on the back straightaway. That's why the caution flag for debris. There it is. Considerably larger than the one we showed you earlier.
Neil said that real debris.
That's pit, waiting for a pit stop that likely won't happen. Things a little more relaxed in Harry Gant's pit. Timing their driver. Watching him run around this racetrack. 20 more laps. Gant and Waltrip have a lap to themselves. Steve Evans.
Well, good fans, don't get nervous. The reason they suited up and appeared to be ready for a pit stop, they saw the 4 car, Ernie Irvin, smoking badly. They thought maybe a yellow would come out. If it did, they'd get a little insurance fuel. But they still feel they can go the distance.
Harry Gant back out. Alan Kulwicki is pitted. And now Dick Trickle is pitted. The 2 Fords coming in for a final stop here with just 18 laps to go. Trickle was in 6th place when he came to pit road. There's your leader, Harry Gant. You saw Waltrip. And Trickle completes his stop, goes back out. He'll drop another lap. 1 lap down. Earnhardt, Wallace, Allison, and Irvin. And here's Davey coming to pit lane.
Yeah, he'd been trying. Him and Rusty have been running side by side. Davey's going to have to top off.
This will take Allison from 5th place. Puts the car in 1st gear. Boy, if he got a splash, that was all.
I tell you, it don't take much to get 5 or 6 gallons out of that thing. When you can empty the whole 10 gallons in 7 seconds.
He was stopped for such a short period of time, they probably could have given as much gas, handed it to him in a cup. Only went 83 laps on that tank of fuel. Harry Gant up front.
Well, we're talking about Harry. If you're watching the shot, look how far back Darrell Walker is. Darrell's fell way, way back. I believe he's trying to conserve fuel as much as possible.
There's the interval, and it's about half a straightaway. So Waltrip may be betting the long side, but Gant can't go the 15 remaining laps.
Well, a while ago, Darrell made a run on Harry and closed in on him. And then Harry took off. I think Darrell said, well, let me see if I can pass him for the lead. He couldn't do it now. His only hope is just to out-gas mileage him.
Black flag, Davey Allison. Speed limit on pit road. So Allison from 5th, he's now dropped to 8th, and he will lose another lap coming in on the penalty stop.
That will not be a happy camera when everything's over.
No.
Man, that's an aggravating penalty.
There's your interval again, 1st to 2nd. Davey Allison is in, makes the stop and go. From Mark Martin's car, looking at 2nd place, Darrell Waltrip.
I would say Darrell has backed off the pace. Mark Martin's car is really crippled. He's hurt it real bad. And he's been gaining on Darrell from a long way back. Darrell must really backed off the pace.
Mark had a car that could win this race. Dave Marcus crashed in front of him coming out of turn number 2, and that wiped up the side of Martin's car.
I was just looking at the tachometer then. He wasn't turning but 5,500 to center in the corner. So Mark's not running up far. Darrell must be trying to save gas.
12 laps to go. We'll come back and give you the final laps of the Budweiser 500 right after this. Harry Gant looking for his 4th victory at Dover Downs. He's won here in 84 and 85, and he won the fall race here last September. Darrell Waltrip's crew, his last victory came almost a year ago. Gant the leader, Waltrip in second on the lead lap. 1 lap back, Earnhardt, Wallace, Ernie Irvin. 2 laps down, Ricky Rudd, Jimmy Hensley, Hut Strickland, Morgan Shepherd. 3 laps back, Dick Trickle. Then Jeff Bodine, Davey Allison, Alan Kulwicki, Sterling Marlin, and 15th, Bill Elliott. Now look at the leaderboard, 7 laps to go. Gant's lead now, 4.6 seconds. Waltrip has the fuel to run the distance, and Gant might.
If that car was to backfire or something right now, he'd probably spin it out. He's waiting on that gas to run out. You know he's got to be sitting on pins and needles.
And nobody to run with and draft off of.
Well, the only thing here, Darrell, is so far back, it gives Gant a little cushion to ease up himself, you know. I'm sure both of them are just trying their best to save as much fuel as possible.
Well, there is a full gas can in Gant's pits, and it's being held. Gant may pit. 5 laps to go. They are holding the gas can and the pit board sign for Harry Gant.
But when they did that, they looked down to Darrell Waltrip's pit also. They're playing those 2 games there. Harry will be the man that calls the pit stop. When he says, I'm out, they'll be coming in. Those guys are just sitting on ready, I believe.
Four laps to go this time. And Waltrip is closing, 2.6 seconds.
Just what Neil said. He backed off and he failed.
Gant's on the inside of the track. Looked like he ran out of fuel 3/4 of the way down the back straightaway. His car stopped and then it took off again. And these cars will do that. In the corners, they'll pick up that fuel. Look at Gant moving to the inside. It stopped running halfway down the straightaway a minute ago.
There's Darrell in the picture already.
3 laps to go. They're going to hold that gas can. They're going to hold it all the way home. 1 car slow in the back straightaway. That's Jeff Bodine.
Darrell's slowing.
2 laps this time by. Waltrip's out of gas.
The guy that thought he could make it's out, and the other one's still running.
2 laps to go for Harry Gant. Waltrip will have to pit. He has a lap on Earnhardt.
Well, I tell you what, he knows there's just a few laps to go. He's going to coast as far as he can because he'd lose a lap by pitting. He's going to coast because there's just 1 more lap to go.
Jeff Bodine has coasted into the pits out of fuel. Bud Moore's team to fuel him. Waltrip puttering around down on the flat. Don't count out Earnhardt. If Gant runs out of gas, it's Dale. 1 lap to go. White flag for Harry Gant. He needs a quart of gas.
Oh, man. This is tearing me up.
Out of turn 2. Back straightaway. There's Waltrip. He goes a lap down.
Look at Gant.
Here comes Earnhardt. Here comes Earnhardt to unlap himself. Earnhardt moves to second. Gant can roll and coast down the bank into the line. He's out of gas. Earnhardt comes by. Harry Gant coasts across the line to win the Budweiser 500. 17th career victory. I told you, I told you, I told you.
Why were they doing that 5 laps ago?
Hard to believe, but true. Gant the winner, Earnhardt second. Waltrip third. Wallace and Irvin. We'll be right back and sort it all out. Harry Gant beats Dale Earnhardt by 24 seconds.
Welcome back to Dover and Victory Lane. Harry Gant has won this race. You won the last race here, and you came in via foot power.
Yeah, we were running out of gas there towards the end, and when I was following Darrell there in second place, they told me to conserve fuel, about 70 laps to go, and so that's what I tried to do. But when I got in front, I wanted to run a little bit harder, and then they said, hey, you're pulling away. He said, back off, back off. So 10 to go, I just run apart throttle, Then the 3 laps to go, it was running out all the way around.
Landy Petrie thought for sure they'd have to bring you in. He didn't think you could make it at one point.
Well, it would quit going in the first turn here, but then when you went in the corner and they'd go up the back stretch and the fuel pressure would come back up and it would cut off over here again, and you never give it to. I said, it'll never make that last lap.
I'm going to give him one right now.
Oh, boy. Carl, great job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's go to Glenn Jarrett real quick.
Darrell Waltrip is crawling from his car right now. Tremendous run out there. Awfully disappointing. You guys thought you could make it.
Yeah, we backed off. I let Harry go to save a little fuel. Thought that he might run out, but didn't think we would. We didn't have any idea we were going to run out. We thought we could make it easy, and we didn't. And congratulations to Harry. And we just had to work on the carburetor a little bit, I guess. But the Western Auto Chevy was great all day, and I'm going to say hi to everybody back home. And praise the Lord for a good day. We needed it.
Well, you had an awfully strong run. You got to be pleased about that. Looks like things have turned around for you.
Oh, the team is great. You know, it's been there all year long. We just haven't had any good luck. Today, the luck stuck with us till the very end anyway.
Well, maybe next time it'll go to all the way to the checkered flag. Mike Joy?
What a day. Harry Gant runs out of gas at the checkered flag and wins. Dale Earnhardt comes up with second spot. Darrell Waltrip did the right thing by staying out on the racetrack. He got third, and stopping, he would have fallen a little further back. We're showing Waltrip in third, Rusty Wallace fourth, Ernie Irvin fifth. A little different from what you're seeing on the screen. We'll double check that. Scoring now has Wallace in third, Irvin fourth, and Waltrip in fifth. Ricky Rudd in sixth, Hut Strickland, Jimmy Hensley, Morgan Shepherd, and Dick Trickle, the top 10. Davey Allison got an 11th, Alan Kulwicki 12th. There's a look a little further back in the field at the top 20, on through 25th position. There you see Kyle Petty, who soldiered home in 29th, and the rest of the field. Monday, 10 a.m., the Busch Grand National Cars for 200 miles here at Dover, and we'll be here live on TNN. TNN Motorsports exclusive live coverage of the Budweiser 500 from Dover, Delaware, has been brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers with that clean, crisp, cold taste. Nothing beats a Bud. By Haviland Formula 3 Motor Oil. Add more life to your car. By Goodyear, the unanimous choice of every NASCAR Winston Cup team. And by Fram Oil Filters. Pay a little now or pay a lot later. For Neil Bonnet and Buddy Baker, Glenn Jarrett, Steve Evans, Mike Joy, congratulating Harry Gant and the Skoal Oldsmobile team on their Winston Cup victory here. 10 a.m. tomorrow, Busch Grand National Racing live on TNN. Join us then. So long from Dover, Delaware.